Chapter 5381. Sensing this aura, Lin Xian's expression completely changed. Because this aura was too terrifying. Hurry up and leave. He brought Little White and Ling Shan and quickly retreated. In the next moment, the place where he was at collapsed and turned into countless cracks. Not only that, this force was crazily sweeping in all directions. There was no way to resist it. Fortunately, Lin Xian had two peerless movement techniques. One was Shadowless Heaven's Net. Coupled with the demon god's wings, his speed was extremely fast. Only then did he dodge. However, his expression also became extremely ugly. Damn it, this place actually had such a dangerous power. The thousand-eyed stone man had never told him before. It was obvious that the other party had deliberately concealed this news in order to catch him off guard and kill him. Lin Xian's expression was cold. He opened the sword world and grabbed the thousand-eyed stone man. The black vortex slowly disappeared. The thousand-eyed stone man laughed out loud. Haha, that brat should have fallen by now, right? He was extremely proud. However, in the next moment, when he saw Lin Xian behind him, his expression changed. Damn brat, you're not dead? Lin Xian's expression was cold. As expected, you were the one who plotted against me. As he spoke, he punched out and forced the thousand-eyed stone man back. The thousand-eyed stone man was sent flying. Its blood and chi churned. It roared crazily. Brat, after leaving that world, do you think you can still suppress me? He wanted to escape, but in the next moment, he saw a stone platform near him. On the stone platform sat a stone monkey with one hand pointing to the sky and the other pointing to the ground. His expression instantly turned ugly. Damn it, it was actually this place. He turned around and fled. However, at that moment, an extremely terrifying power came from inside and enveloped him. With a crack appeared on his body. He was sent flying and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. So terrifying. Lin Xian was also surprised. He had fought with the thousand-eyed stone man before, so he naturally knew how terrifying it was. Not to mention the other party's thousand eyes that possessed countless divine abilities. Just the stone man's physique alone was extremely strong, not weaker than his 9 yang divine body. But now, his defenses had been torn apart so easily. It was simply too shocking. The thousand-eyed golem fled frantically, not daring to resist at all. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He took out the Hellfire Dragon Sword and the Spear of Great Destruction. These two sacred artifacts blocked the enemy. You want to leave? Get the hell back in there. After a great battle, he forced the thousand-eyed stone golem back. The thousand-eyed stone golem was attacked again. This time, there were even more cracks on its body. Blood was dripping from many of his eyes. He was severely injured. He was completely terrified. He had been to this place before because he had discovered the secret of one page of the heavenly book. Therefore, he wanted to take it away. But the last time he came, he saw this stone monkey. He was injured in an instant. Although he was also a stone man, and so was the other party, the difference in strength between them was too great. He turned around and fled, not daring to stay any longer. From then on, he didn't dare to come to this place so easily. She didn't expect him to come again today. Furthermore, he had been beaten to this place. Damn it, he was crazy. He wanted to use his 1001st eye, the Holy Spirit Eye of Destruction. The 1001st eye shone again, and Lin Xian also used the Rinnegan at this time, pushing it to the extreme. It turned into a ray of reincarnation light. He took the lead and directly hit the 1001st eye. The Holy Spirit also screamed and retreated. Damn it, he felt that his eye was injured. Damn it, the Rinnegan. At this time, the stone monkey's third attack came from below, filling his body with cracks. No, the thousand-eyed stone golem was completely terrified. He realized that he couldn't escape at all. Was he going to die here? I can't accept this. His body was being torn apart by the supreme power below. Even if I die, I will drag you down to hell with me. The thousand-eyed stone golem was completely crazy. All 1001st eyes were burning. The last of its strength attacked Lin Xian. A powerful Holy Spirit, attacking with all its might, made Lin Xian feel like he was facing a great enemy. He dodged with all his might, but he was still hit. Cracks also appeared on his body. His entire body was hit and fell from the sky. Yeah, not good. Little White anxiously rushed to save him. He waved a small paw and quickly rushed over. He wanted to save Lin Xian. At this time, the stone monkey's fourth attack came. Little White's pupils shrank. Oh no! Lin Xian's expression also changed. The little guy quickly ran, but it was already too late. That power enveloped them. Lin Xian felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He couldn't use any power. This stone monkey's origin was extraordinary. It was too terrifying. At this moment of crisis, the rune between Lin Xian's eyebrows suddenly bloomed with light, enveloping Lin Xian and the others. The supreme power disappeared in an instant. In the next moment, the world fell silent. They were saved. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Little White also looked at the big eyes, very puzzled. At this time, on the stone platform below the stone monkey, countless runes flickered. Lin Xian turned his head and looked. In the next moment, he was dumbfounded because he found that the stone platform suddenly became bright. There were mysterious runes flickering on it. These runes were very familiar. They were very similar to the runes between Lin Xian's eyebrows. Could it be that this was a page of the heavenly book? It was actually here with the stone monkey? Lin Xian was too shocked. Let's go. He brought Lin Xian to the bottom left. With the rune between Lin Xian's eyebrows, the stone monkey no longer attacked. The page of the heavenly book bloomed with light. Lin Xian used his Rinnegan to explore with all his strength. He wanted to imprint all of these runes in his mind. This process was very slow because these runes were too mysterious. Heavenly Dao runes. Each one was incomparably complicated. Even if Lin Xian had an extremely strong eye technique, the progress was very slow. But fortunately, this page of the heavenly book only had a few dozen runes. If there were hundreds, Lin Xian felt that his soul would collapse. But even so, he was afraid that it would take a long time. Lin Xian began to memorize these heavenly Dao runes here with all his might. At the same time, the spirit monkey and the others were also waiting outside the oblique moon cave. But in the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. There was nothing in the cave. No one came out. Those spirit monkeys were anxious. Did something happen to Lin Gongzi? What about Ling Shan? Ling Yu also clenched her small hands. She was also very anxious. But she said that there was no way. They could only wait and believe in Lin Gongzi. His strength was definitely enough. In the blink of an eye, another half a month had passed. It was almost a month. Everyone was about to despair. But the only thing that was worth rejoicing was that Ling Shan's soul jade tablet was not broken. This let everyone know that Ling Shan had not fallen. If not for this, everyone would have rushed in like crazy. But they were also puzzled. After such a long time, what were these people doing inside? Chapter 5382. Oblique Moon Cave, under the Bodhi Tree. Lin Xian was using his Rinnegan with all his might. In front of him, there was a page of the heavenly book that was constantly spinning. Whitey was staring at the Bodhi fruit on the Bodhi tree. Every time, he would start to attack. He really did get 2 of them. At this moment, he was still attacking. Ling Shan was at the side and fell into a deep sleep again. The rune between her eyebrows was still flickering. Another month had passed. On this day, Lin Xian closed his eyes. His face was incomparably pale. He hurriedly took out all kinds of medicinal pills and heavenly treasures and swallowed them to recover his soul power. His eyes were really in too much pain. There was no helping it. The heavenly Dao runes in the page of the heavenly book were really magical. Fortunately, he remembered all of them. There were a total of 49 runes. What was recorded on the scroll was a divine ability called the Heavens Battle Diagram. It was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian was still unable to use it. However, after he cultivated it, he should be able to use it. Moreover, he had also found a way to help Ling Shan. Lin Xian waved his finger and struck out a law that surrounded Ling Shan's body. Ling Shan flew forward. The rune between her eyebrows suddenly merged with the page of the heavenly book in front of her. In the next moment, a mysterious power appeared. Lin Xian also took a few steps back and watched quietly. The rune returned to its position. The heavenly Dao rune between Ling Shan's eyebrows slowly disappeared. However, The missing rune of the page of the heavenly book lit up again. In the next moment, the page of the heavenly book entered the stone tablet and disappeared. Thank you, Senior. Lin Xian bowed deeply to the stone platform and the stone monkey on it. At this moment, the stone monkey's mouth suddenly raised into a smile. He didn't know if it was an illusion or Lin Xian's misconception. Lin Xian was stunned. In the next moment, he felt that the stone monkey's hands could split the world. A cloud of mist spread over and enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt the world spinning. He cursed inwardly. What kind of formation mechanism was this? If the stone monkey really attacked him now, he really wouldn't be able to defend himself. Fortunately, he didn't feel any danger. Only the clouds slowly disappeared. When Lin Xian saw his surroundings again, he was stunned. This was because he realized that this place seemed to be a large hall. Furthermore, it was an extremely terrifying palace. This was because the hall was filled with drawings of the dragon clan. Tyrannosaurus rex, wyverns, sea dragons, all kinds of dragons were vivid and lifelike. Not only were there diagrams, but there were also dragon corpses. 10,000 dragons were crawling here. The dragons circled around each other. Each of them was incomparably terrifying. The aura on them was abnormally cold. The corpses of these dragons were made into a small mountain, and on the top of the mountain lay a figure. It was a man wearing an ancient Taoist robe. His eyes were closed, and there was no aura coming from him. Lin Xian was astonished when he sensed this scene. There was actually someone else. Other than the stone monkey, there was actually someone else in the oblique moon cave. However, when he sensed it carefully, he gasped in shock. There was no life force, no soul. Was he dead? Lin Xian was surprised. Who was this man? Whether it was the stone monkey or this man, they were very similar to the quasi-emperor corpses he had seen in the Yuhua immortal dynasty. There was an extremely terrifying aura on them. In fact, they were even more terrifying than the quasi-emperor corpses. But he didn't know whether they had reached the great emperor realm or not, because that realm was too terrifying. He couldn't judge. But in short, they were definitely powerhouses who had surpassed the Saint realm. Lin Xian didn't dare to investigate carefully. After all, such a person had long surpassed everything. No one else was allowed to investigate. Even if Lin Xian had the Rinnegan, he didn't dare to. It was just that he was curious. There were so many corpses of the Dragon Clan powerhouses here, and some of them were even crawling under the other party's feet. Could it be that this man was a powerhouse of the Dragon Clan? Could it be the Dragon Emperor? Lin Xian's eyelids twitched wildly. He had killed the Dragon Prince. If it was the Dragon Emperor, he would have revived and fought him to the death. Thinking of this, Lin Xian felt a little guilty. He cupped his hands and said, "Sorry to disturb you." Then, he turned around and wanted to leave. However, at this moment, a loud dragon roar came from his body, and the great dragon's sword soul instantly flew out. Lin Xian was too shocked. What was going on? He didn't summon the great dragon sword soul. Moreover, this slanting moon cave belonged to the extreme path world. How did the great dragon sword soul come out? It was too incredible. Before he could react, the great dragon sword soul swung its tail and flew directly toward the man on the dragon mountain in front of him. Lin Xian's eyes almost popped out. What was the meaning of this? Could it be that the Dragon Emperor really wanted to snatch his great dragon sword soul? Lin Xian was on guard. If that was the case, he had to fight even if he had to. He walked forward. As soon as he took a step, Lin Xian felt an earth-shattering force in front of him. Cracking sounds could be heard from his body. It was too terrifying. What a terrifying Dragon Dao aura. Although the giant dragons in this hall were corpses, they were probably extremely powerful when they were alive. It was a power that countless people looked up to. After death, it was still not destroyed. Lin Xian felt that it was difficult to take a step forward. At this moment, the great dragon sword soul in front of him turned into a dragon shadow and circled around the white-robed man. There was a trace of sadness in his low roar. Lin Xian was stunned. He stopped, not knowing why the great dragon sword soul was like this. However, he also felt a trace of sadness. He didn't walk forward anymore. Instead, he waited quietly. The great dragon sword soul in front of him turned into a dragon shadow and stayed on the white-robed man for a while. Suddenly, it raised its head and waved its dragon claws. It grabbed the black jade ring on the white-robed man's right thumb. Then, the dragon swung its tail and flew back into Lin Xian's body. A black jade ring appeared in Lin Xian's hand. This ring was incomparably deep and emitted a mysterious aura. Lin Xian was stunned. What was the meaning of this? The great dragon sword soul went forward just to take back this ring? What kind of ring was this? Lin Xian probed and found that he couldn't see through it. It was too mysterious. Everything was strange. Lin Xian felt that it wasn't good to stay here for long. He had a feeling that there was a terrifying and destructive power under this calmness, which frightened him. So, he decided to leave. His body swayed, and he flew into the distance. The surrounding fog condensed again and shrouded him. Soon, Lin Xian disappeared from the hall. The entire hall fell silent again. Not long after, a terrifying power appeared in the surroundings. The entire hall shook violently, and countless large cracks appeared in the surrounding void. In particular, an abyss appeared under the ground. Then, a claw appeared. It was a dragon claw. The purple dragon claw was covered with scales and was incomparably sharp. On the claw, there was an extremely terrifying aura. It even had the power of the extreme path. As soon as it appeared, it shattered heaven and earth. Then, it charged towards the white-robed man on the Dragon Mountain. Chapter 53:83. The sudden appearance of the claw was too terrifying. It was enough to destroy everything. At this moment, the white-robed man on the Dragon Mountain. There was still no movement. However, the countless dragons below him let out a deep roar. Suddenly, a monstrous aura swept in all directions, forming a peerless array. The array was formed by 99 million dragons. The moment it was formed, it charged towards the giant claw below the ground. The giant claw below the ground was sealed. Her figure slowly disappeared as if she had never appeared. Everything returned to peace. All the silhouettes disappeared, and the entire hall became quiet again. At this moment, the white-robed man on the Dragon Mountain moved his finger gently. At the same time, a voice sounded between heaven and earth. Is he here? The voice was very ethereal. It disappeared in an instant. It was as if it was an illusion. Lin Xian didn't know that such a mysterious and terrifying thing had happened after he left. At this moment, he was riding a cloud and leaving the mysterious palace. When he appeared again, he found himself next to the Bodhi tree. The stone monkey was still sitting there, one hand pointing to the sky and the other to the ground. It was still emitting a terrifying message. However, because Lin Xian had already read a page of the heavenly book, it was no threat to him. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian didn't leave. He sat cross-legged under the Bodhi tree. There was no Bodhi tree, nor was there a mirror. Comprehending here made Lin Xian's heart as clear as a mirror. He decided to comprehend the heavens battle map here. Beside him, Ling Shan fell into a deep sleep. At this moment, she had recovered from her illness and wouldn't suddenly faint again. It was rare for Little White to be quiet. He came in front of the stone monkey and lay there, staring ahead with his black, gem-like eyes. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Lin Xian's body seemed to be petrified. He didn't move at all during these 3 months. He wasn't the only one. Little White was the same. On this day, Lin Xian opened his eyes. The dust on his body made cracking sounds. Everything dissipated, and he returned to his clear state. Lin Xian stood up. So this was the heavens battle map. It was indeed magical. During these 3 months under Bodhi, his cultivation had progressed by leaps and bounds. Calculating the time, it was time to leave. This was because he still had the most important thing to do, and that was to head to the extreme Dao Valley for the final battle. Lin Xian stood up and bowed to the stone monkey again. "Let's go," he said, waving his hand. Whitey also waved its little paw at the stone monkey in front of it, then left reluctantly. At this moment, the surrounding clouds once again filled the air and formed a cloud under Whitey's feet. These auspicious clouds were like cotton candy, making Little White very happy. She jumped up and down, her big eyes squinting into crescents. Lin Xian was also astonished. This mist was definitely extraordinary. Little fellow, hurry up and thank Senior. Little White waved its little paws. Yeah, thank you. Then, with a wave of his claws, the cotton cloud under his feet instantly turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Lin Xian's pupil shrank as he finished reading. It was so fast that it could definitely catch up with his demon god wings. The demon god wings was a great emperor's ability. This cotton cloud was indeed extraordinary. Lin Xian also brought Ling Shan and flew out. Outside the slanted moon cave, the spirit monkey race was still waiting patiently. A few months had passed, and there was no news of Lin Xian and the rest, making them extremely anxious. However, on this day, a stream of light rushed out from inside. Then, it turned into a cotton cloud and rushed into the sky with the little monkey. Someone came out, someone came out. Those spirit monkeys also exclaimed. Not long after, they saw a second figure appear. It was Lin Xian. Lin Gongzi, you're out. Those spirit monkeys rushed over. Ling Yu even came over personally. Lin Gongzi, are you all right? That's great. Oh right, how's my sister? Lin Xian put down Ling Shan on his back and patted her gently. Still sleeping? Wake up. Ling Shan opened her big eyes and blinked. Where was this? Lin Xian said. He was fine and would not faint again in the future. He did not say the details, but those spirit monkeys were extremely happy. Thank you, Lin Gongzi. Ling Yu and the rest quickly bowed, but Lin Xian waved his hand to stop them. Then, he took out 3 Bodhi fruits and said, This is for you. Bodhi fruits. Those spirit monkeys were shocked. Ling Yu also said, This is too precious. Lin Xian said, This belongs to your slanted moon cave. It belongs to you. Also, I have to thank you properly this time. All right, I won't stand on ceremony. Ling Yu took it. Lin Xian was right. He had gained a lot from this trip to the slanted moon cave. First, he got a few Bodhi fruits. Then, he got a page of the Heavenly Book's heavenly battle map. He even saw the mysterious stone monkey and the white-robed man who was surrounded by a giant dragon. More importantly, he got a mysterious ring from the white-robed man. Although he did not know what the ring was used for, it was definitely extraordinary. This caused Lin Xian to be astonished. Who exactly left behind this oblique moon cave? Could it be related to the stone monkey? As for the white-robed man, who was he? Lin Xian felt that all of this was a mystery. After staying in the Monkey Mountain for another 2 days, Lin Xian left. Ling Shan and the rest were reluctant to leave, but they knew that a top genius like Lin Xian would not stay in one place. Moving forward was his goal. Lin Xian left the Monkey Mountain and flew all the way. He was going to rush to the Extreme Dao Valley with all his might. Extreme Dao Valley, the center of the Extreme Dao world. At this moment, countless people were rushing over from all directions. These days, each of them had a fortuitous encounter. After all, the Extreme Dao world was very mysterious, and there were opportunities everywhere. It depended on whether you were strong or not, and whether you had the luck. At this moment, there were already people outside the Extreme Dao Valley. These people all stopped outside. There were several heavenly steels around, connecting heaven and earth. On the heavenly steels, ancient names were engraved one after another. These were the rankings of the Dragon Transformation Station. Those who made it on the rankings were the most dazzling existences in the entire universe. At this moment, everyone raised their heads to look at these rankings. They were incomparably shocked. They wondered who would be able to make it on the rankings this time. To be engraved on the heavenly steels and be passed down for thousands of years. This was definitely the most supreme glory. Buzz. Between heaven and earth. Rays of light appeared one after another. Terrifying flames swept across the 9 heavens. The fire Qilin had arrived, bringing with it tens of thousands of flames. On the other side, lightning filled the sky, transforming into a thunder godlike figure, the double-crowned King Thunder King. There were also black flags that filled the sky, sealing heaven and earth. A man in a black robe, the double-crowned King Hei Qi. There were also people with indestructible auras, the indestructible Three's emissary. The 3rd emissary, the 2nd emissary, and the 5th emissary. Even the first emissary had arrived. The first emissary was incomparably powerful. He had arrived early. At this moment, he was standing in front of a heavenly steel with his hands behind his back. No one dared to approach him, because the aura on his body was incomparably terrifying, causing everyone to be terrified. Chapter 53-84. The strength of the first emissary was terrifying, but there were still people who dared to fight against him. On the other side, a hazy figure appeared. This person's body was intertwined with the great Tao, as if he was the only one in the world. He had the innate Tao body. Apart from him, there was another person. Although he was wearing plain clothes, no one dared to underestimate him. Many people even looked at him with fear in their eyes because he was a light-shaking realm cultivator. During this period of time, Yao Guang had swallowed many experts, causing everyone to feel afraid. Apart from the light-shaking realm cultivators, the other experts and geniuses had also arrived. However, the number of people was much lower than before. There were only about 100 of them. The others were either eliminated or killed. In short, they couldn't come here. Among them, Yin Ruyu, Murong Qingqing, and the Crimson Dragon had also arrived. They looked at each other and sighed in relief. Fortunately, they could participate in the final battle. Why hadn't elder brother Xian come yet? Murong Qingqing frowned slightly. The Crimson Dragon said, "This kid should be fine." When the people from Eternal Mountain saw this, they sneered. "I think he might have encountered some accident and can't come." The others' eyes also flickered. Yes, they hadn't seen Lin Wudi yet. Many people were looking forward to it. It was better if Lin Wudi didn't appear, because the other party was indeed too terrifying. Without such a peerless expert, they would be able to reduce some of the pressure. However, they were destined to be disappointed because the next day, Lin Xian arrived. A black bolt of lightning streaked across the sky. Lin Xian arrived. His expression was incomparably calm as he arrived at the surroundings of the extreme Dao Valley. He looked at those people and was surprised. These people's auras were much stronger than before. Obviously, these people had fortuitous encounters. However, the number of people was much lower than before. Among them, he saw many familiar figures. It was time for some grudges to be settled. A hint of coldness appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. Elder brother Xian, Murong Qingqing, and the others waved. Lin Xian landed. "How was it?" he asked. Murong Qingqing and the others said that they had all improved recently. "Brother Xian, your aura has also become stronger." Lin Xian nodded. He had indeed had a fortuitous encounter. At this time, Murong Qingqing said, "Brother Xian, look at the heaven monument in front of us." "What was that?" Lin Xian was taken aback. He looked ahead and was dumbfounded. Murong Qingqing said from the side. These were the people who had made it onto the ranking list of the dragon transformation battles in the past. Lin Xian was pleasantly surprised. These were all experts of the past. He carefully observed them. Suddenly, he was stunned because he found a familiar name on the nearest heaven stele. Xia Zheyo ranked first. It was actually Elder Xia. Lin Xian was too shocked. It seemed like Xia Zheyo was also an existence that swept through the world back then. The other party was the number one in the Dragon Transformation Station. After all, he had defeated countless experts from all over the universe. However, even such a person couldn't become a great emperor. He knew that Xia Zheyo wasn't a great emperor. Lin Xian felt a trace of pressure as he continued to look at the heaven monuments. Suddenly, he was stunned again because he saw a person's name on another heaven monument. This heaven monument wasn't recent. It was obvious that it wasn't from the past 10,000 to 20,000 years, but from an even older time. The name he saw was also ranked first. Lin Zhan. Lin Xian was dumbfounded. That was his father's name, but that shouldn't be the case. His father should be from the same era as him. Even if there was a difference in era, he should be someone from the past 10,000 years. However, the other party actually appeared 100,000 years ago. Could it be that they only had the same name? They weren't the same person? Lin Xian was puzzled. Thinking about it, he hadn't seen his father in a long time. However, his father's strength seemed to be on par with Lord Alcohol and the others. He probably had a lot of secrets on him. Although Lin Xian was very doubtful, His intuition told him that the Lin Zhan mentioned by the first on the heaven monument was very likely his father. Lin Xian clenched his fists. His father and Xiajuyo had both reached the first place of the heaven monument. This time, he also wanted to reach the first place of the heaven monument. "Aunt, there's no need to look. Your name won't be on the ranking." At that moment, a cold voice sounded. Lin Xian turned his head and frowned. The person who spoke was a man in black armor. It should be the third envoy. His aura was even stronger than the fourth envoy. However, Lin Xian wasn't afraid now. He sneered. "You're not my match at all." His gaze swept past the other party and stared at the first envoy. "Interesting. You should be the first among the top 10 envoys, right? Only you are qualified to be my opponent. Damn brat, how dare you look down on me?" The third envoy was furious. The second envoy's face was also cold. The other party had even skipped over him. Did this mean that the other party didn't take him seriously? "You want to challenge our big brother? What a joke. You have to defeat us first." The second envoy took a step forward, and power erupted from his body. "I can suppress you with one hand." As for the first envoy, he still had his hands behind his back. Obviously, he didn't take anyone seriously. The Fire Qilin also narrowed his eyes. There were really many geniuses. If it wasn't for this battle, who would be able to reach the first place of the heaven monument? Although he was the emperor, he also felt the pressure. There were several people who threatened him. For example, the first envoy of Mount Eternal, who was unpredictable. There was also the born Taoism aptitude. The aura of the Great Path on his body was really too strong. Other than that, there was also Yaoguang. He didn't know how strong she was now. Lin Xian was also a huge threat to him. Other than that, there were other experts. Each of them seemed to have a unique skill that couldn't be underestimated. After waiting for another 3 days, the number of people was almost enough. No one would come again. At that moment, a few extreme weapons appeared again. There was also the 8 trigrams diagram, the destruction spear, and the treasured bottle of life. They appeared in the void and looked down. "Not bad. You guys came on time, and there are more of you than I expected." It seemed that this was really a golden age. The destruction spear also snorted coldly. "All right, let's not talk nonsense. Next, the final battle will begin." As he spoke, he unleashed a destructive power toward the extreme Dao Valley. The extreme Dao Valley kept shaking. Around the extreme Dao Valley, 9 stairways appeared. At the same time, a destructive aura spread out, forming a destructive cloud that enveloped the stairways. The destruction spear's voice rang out. The 9 stairways led to the interior of the extreme Dao Valley. Only 3 people could pass through each stairway. Those who successfully passed through the stairway and entered the extreme Dao Valley. They could enter the final ranking battle. The others would all be eliminated. Everyone gasped when they heard that. There were too few spots. There were so many experts and geniuses here. It seemed that the next battle would be a very cruel one. Chapter 53-85. Hearing the rules of the battle, many people's faces became extremely ugly. However, some people laughed. The third emissary snorted coldly. There were indeed a lot of people. It was time to clean up some ants. His eyes bloomed with a biting cold light. The other people also felt their scalps tingle. There were still 4 people in Mount Eternal. They were the first emissary, the second emissary, the third emissary, and the 5th emissary. If these 4 people joined forces, then the other party could completely take over the celestial stairway. However, there were also some people who sneered. They knew the extreme weapon would never allow such a thing to happen. Indeed, the destructive war song said, "Don't worry, I won't let you join forces. I will separate the people you are familiar with." Hearing this, many people breathed a sigh of relief. As long as they were not besieged by others, then there would be no problem. Lin Xian also looked at Murong Qingqing and the others. He said, "You must be careful." They nodded. Next, the black tortoise bloomed with the 8 trigrams, emitting a terrifying light. It shrouded heaven and earth. Okay, now it begins. With that, these people were enveloped by the power of the 8 trigrams and entered different celestial stairways. The emissaries of Mount Eternal were sent to different celestial stairways. Lin Xian and Murong Qingcheng were also separated. Everyone else was sent in. Of the 9 celestial stairways, only the top 3 could successfully pass. Therefore, as soon as everyone entered, they frantically flew to the top of the celestial stairway. However, it didn't take long for them to frown because there was a destructive fog around them. This was an extremely terrifying force, so they had to be careful. Therefore, their flying speed was very slow. Moreover, the celestial stairway was wider than they had imagined. They might encounter other people at any time. Lin Xian also entered the celestial stairway. He entered the 6th celestial stairway. After entering, he felt the destruction around him. The fog enveloped him. It made him feel the pressure. However, the current Lin Xian was much stronger than before. The destructive fog couldn't hurt him. His right eye shone brightly. Lin Xian walked forward. He was exploring the road. After flying for about the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Lin Xian stopped because he met someone. That was a human figure, its appearance indistinct. Because of the destructive mist, it was impossible to see clearly. However, Lin Xian's soul could see clearly. It was a woman with delicate and pretty features. She was wearing clothes, and the sound of water could be heard from her. He should be a water elemental genius. The daughter of the river diagram also stopped. She also saw a figure in front of her, emitting a powerful aura. He didn't have Lin Xian's Rinnegan, so he couldn't see who his opponent was. However, he was very confident in his own strength, so he said coldly, "No matter who you are, it's your bad luck to meet me. Then let me send you out of the game." As he spoke, he struck out with his palm. A stream of river water seemed to have transcended time and space and surged over. It swept towards Lin Xian like a galaxy. It was extremely vast. Lin Xian was also surprised. What a terrifying power. Clearly, those who could reach this step were not weaklings. They were all top-notch experts. Although he didn't know this person, the other party was very strong. Thinking of this, Lin Xian punched out. The 9 suns' divine fire turned into a sun and swept in front of him. The confrontation between fire and water, these were 2 completely opposite laws. So at this moment, they collided and restrained each other. Flames? No matter what kind of flame you are, I'll destroy you. The daughter of the river diagram snorted coldly. With a wave of her jade-like hand, the monstrous water of the river diagram quickly swept over. This was more terrifying than countless galaxies. However, Lin Xian's 9 suns' divine fire was also extraordinary. This was the most young power in the universe. It kept spinning, and the surrounding river water seemed to be evaporated. Damn it! How could it be? The daughter of the river diagram's pupils shrank sharply. She was restrained. What kind of flame was this? I don't believe it. He waved his hand and turned into 24 galaxies, forming a mysterious diagram. This was the river diagram, like a sky diagram, pressing down from the sky and covering Lin Xian's sun. Suppress. The river diagram suppressed the sun. The daughter of the river diagram's mouth raised. No matter how strong the opponent's flame was, it was no match for him. Lin Xian's eyes burst with an astonishing light. He punched continuously. The 9 suns' divine fist turned into golden crows one after another, sweeping between heaven and earth. At this moment, thousands of rays of light flew out. The whole world turned into a sea of fire. The momentum was vast and shocking. The daughter of the river diagram was suppressed in an instant, and he was sent flying backward. The daughter of the river diagram's blood was also boiling. Her face was pale, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. Damn it! How could it be? How could the opponent's flame power be so powerful? Who are you? Fire Qilin or burning incense? In his opinion, these were the only people who possessed such terrifying flames. Lin Xian was also stunned after hearing this. You can't see me? Although there was a destructive mist, Lin Xian could see the other party. The other party couldn't see him. Obviously, without a powerful eye technique, it was impossible to see the enemy clearly. The daughter of the river diagram's expression also changed. You can see me, which means you have a terrifying eye technique. You have such terrifying flames. Could it be that you are Lin Wudi? Previously on the Sea of Misery, Many experts and geniuses had fought. Some of the strong physiques and supernatural powers were naturally remembered by others. Lin Wudi's strong strength was naturally remembered by countless people. The daughter of the river diagram guessed the other party's identity at this moment. She gasped. She didn't expect it to be him. "That's right. It's me," Lin Xian said with a smile. "Lin Wudi, I admit that your flames are very strong, but this is not the final battle. You and I don't have to fight to the death. First, get the stairway, and the top 3 will enter the finals. Let's fight again." With that, she turned around and soared into the air, flying off in a certain direction. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He didn't chase after her. She was right. The most important thing now was to get through the stairway. He stomped his foot and turned into a black lightning, flying quickly into the distance. Other than Lin Xian's side, the other people were also climbing the stairway quickly. Quite a few people had encountered them. After a great battle, some people were defeated, but they weren't so lucky and were directly eliminated. For a while, people were constantly being eliminated, and the number of people was getting smaller and smaller. Outside the extreme path world, the experts from the Emperor clan, the clan of the ancients, and the great sects were still waiting. At this time, they found out that another person had been eliminated. They asked and found out that the people inside had already started fighting near the extreme path valley. It was obvious that the finals would begin very soon. I wonder who will be able to enter the final round? All of them started to get nervous. After all, this battle was very important. Chapter 5386. In the 6th stairway, Lin Xian continued to move forward. His speed was not slow. Suddenly, his expression changed. His body swayed, and he was pushed back. At the place where he was originally standing, a bolt of heavenly lightning struck down, piercing through the void. Lin Xian retreated. His expression was gloomy. "Who is it? Get out here." A cold shout spread throughout the surroundings. Beside him, a figure walked out and sneered. "Not bad. You're actually so smart to be able to avoid my trap. I'm really surprised. But it's a pity that you met me, so be obedient and be eliminated. If you're eliminated, you won't be injured. If I make a move, I won't be able to kill you." The cold voice made one's scalp tingle. Terrifying lightning surrounded heaven and earth. So terrifying. Could it be that the lightning was the Thunder King? He knew that the Double Crown King was the Thunder King, but he felt that the aura was different. He activated his Rinnegan and looked forward. He found that it was not the Double Crown King, but someone else. This person looked middle-aged, and the lightning on his body was very terrifying. Not only that, but there were also extremely terrifying flames flickering on the other side of his body. However, he did not feel the power of the flames. It was obvious that the other party was suppressing the power of the flames, preparing for a surprise attack. What a sinister guy. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. If he didn't know the other party's background, he might really be injured by the power of the flames. He would suffer a big loss. Unfortunately, Lin Xian's eyes were enough to see through everything. Lin Xian sneered. "Who do you think you are? How dare you eliminate me? Get out of my sight now, and I can spare your life. You're courting death. From your voice, you must be a young genius. Stupid thing, go to hell." The middle-aged man snorted and waved his hand. In the sky, hundreds of lightning bolts descended with the power to destroy everything. This aura was very oppressive, causing people's faces to be filled with despair and their bodies to shake. However, Lin Xian sneered. He used Shadowless to the extreme, leaving behind countless afterimages. These lightning bolts struck his afterimages. Lin Xian charged forward. The middle-aged man didn't dodge at all. Instead, a cold smile appeared on his face. He was waiting for his opponent to engage in close combat because he still had a powerful force that he hadn't used yet. That was the power of fire. He was from the Thunderflame clan. Furthermore, he was an extremely terrifying elder of the Thunderflame clan. He was the Thunderflame 8th elder, and his strength was extremely terrifying. If he could successfully enter the rankings in this battle, then when he returned, he would be able to enter the top 10. Then, he would be able to successfully become the new patriarch of the Thunderfire clan. The Thunder Fire clan was an extremely powerful clan in the myriad of worlds. Not only did it possess the power of lightning, but it also possessed the terrifying power of fire. Furthermore, the two powers had perfectly fused with their bodies. Now, it was only using the power of thunder to suppress the power of fire. The purpose was to set up a trap and make the other party careless. At the crucial moment, it launched a sure kill attack. In the next moment, he felt the other party appear in front of him. Although he didn't know who the other party was, it didn't matter. His opponent was definitely going to lose this time. Looking at his opponent's punch, he unleashed a terrifying thunderbolt. It transformed into the claw of a thunder beast and clawed at him. At the same time, he formed a seal with his left hand, and a terrifying flaming claw condensed on it. All of a sudden, he charged forward. Haha, go to hell. Even if the other party was a veteran expert like him, he would still be defeated by such a sudden sneak attack. Not to mention a young man who didn't have much experience. Boom, boom, boom. Two deep sounds rang out. The surrounding void was torn apart, and countless large cracks appeared. A storm spread out in all directions with the two of them as the center. Elder Thunderflame was stunned. How was this possible? He was stunned because he realized that his flaming claw had hit the front as if it had hit a mountain. It didn't injure the other party. How was this possible? He was stunned. Could it be that his sneak attack didn't succeed? He discovered that there was a pair of black seals in front of him, standing there like an ancient demonic mountain. The demonic aura emitted from them made his scalp tingle. Damn it, what was going on? He was dumbfounded. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. He blocked the other party's attack and snorted coldly. Do you think that you can sneak attack me by suppressing the power of the flames? And then injure me? You're too naive. Your little tricks are nothing in front of me. Damn it, this is impossible. How did you know? The Thunder Flame 8th Elder had gone completely mad. How did the other party know what he was thinking? Furthermore, he knew everything about it. Damn it, could the other party read his soul? Or could the other party see it clearly? But this shouldn't be. Even with his strength, he couldn't see the other party's image clearly in this fog of destruction. How did the other party see it? Why? Are you surprised? Are you shocked? Stupid thing. You dare to go against me with just you alone? Lin Xian sneered. On his palm, power suddenly erupted, and the demonic god seal blasted out. It shattered the other party's flaming claw. Then, he used his left hand's 9 Suns divine fist to send the other party's lightning flying. Elder Thunderflame was forced back, and his hands hung down. At this moment, cracks appeared on his palm. What a terrifying power. How was this possible? He was injured in a short exchange. This person was stronger than him. Who are you? He roared crazily. Suddenly, she let out a miserable shriek. She discovered that a soul attack had come from the front and had directly attacked her soul. He vomited blood and retreated. He was seriously injured. Damn it, the power of reincarnation. Are you that Lin Wuti? He roared in horror. Now he finally understood why the other party could see him clearly. Because the other party had Rinnegan. That was a super powerful eye technique. Only the other party could see it clearly. Thinking of this, his face turned pale. Lin Gongzi, misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding. There is fog here. I don't know it's you. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to make a move. How about this? Spare my life. I will repay you in the future. How about it? Repay me? Lin Xian laughed coldly. You were just saying that you wanted to kill me. Now that you can't beat me, you're begging for mercy? Unfortunately, this is an elimination round, so you are destined to be eliminated. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want me to send you out? Damn it, Lin Wuti, don't be too arrogant. So what if you can see it clearly? If you really piss me off, I will fight you to the death. Elder 8 was also angry. What was his identity? He was the one who was about to become the Thunderflame Patriarch. He was high and mighty. No matter how strong the other party was, he couldn't be so arrogant. Lin Xian sneered after hearing this. Fight to the death? Just by you? You are not qualified. Get lost. As he spoke, he pointed his finger at Yi Qingyu. Chapter 53-87. Void God Finger. Appearing and disappearing unpredictably, Lin Fan appeared in front of the Thunder Flame 8th Elder in an instant. With a single finger, Lin Fan shattered the Thunder Flame 8th Elder's forehead. The Thunder Flame 8th Elder's body was torn into pieces. No, the Thunder Flame 8th Elder was terrified. Lin Fan was too strong. He couldn't resist at all. Lin Fan's finger had severely injured him. At the critical moment, he chose to save his life. The protective jade on his body shone brightly. He turned into a ray of white light and disappeared. Some sage blood dripped down from the sky. Lin Xian sneered. The Thunder Flame 8th Elder was nothing in front of him. He wasn't worthy of being his opponent. He went on his way again. Outside the extreme path realm, there were some figures standing on a mountain peak. These people were surrounded by powerful lightning and flames. They were from the Thunder Flame tribe. At this moment, many of them were discussing in low voices. "I wonder how the 8th Elder is doing?" An old man asked. Given Old 8's strength, he could definitely enter the finals. He might even be able to enter the top 10. It seems like he will definitely become the patriarch of our tribe in the future. That's for sure. The old patriarch had said that as long as Old 8 could enter the rankings, he would become the new patriarch. At that time, our tribe would dominate the world. The surrounding people's eyes shone with cold light. They were overjoyed. They felt that they could control everything in the future. However, at this moment, the void split open and a figure retreated. "Despicable Lin Wudi, I will fight you to the death. My Thunder Flame tribe will never let you off." His voice was like thunder, spreading in all directions. The surrounding people looked up in surprise. Was that an elite from the Thunder Flame tribe? He was also eliminated. It seemed like he was eliminated by Lin Wudi again. This Lin Wudi was really arrogant. No matter who you were or what your status was, as long as you were his enemy, you would be eliminated. He had already offended many powerful families and sections. However, there were also people who sneered. So what? Lin Wudi could dominate everything. He was the strongest. These were all Lin Xian's followers. Many of them were experts from the Divine Union. They were extremely happy after hearing the news. It seemed like their alliance master Wudi was sweeping everyone in the Thunder Flame tribe. Those from the Thunder Flame tribe were stunned. God, what had they just seen? They saw their 8th Elder. Damn it! Old 8 had been eliminated. This is impossible, they roared madly. The faces of these people turned extremely ugly. Just a moment ago, they were still fantasizing about Old 8 sweeping through the competition, ascending to the finals and looking down on the world. Their bloodline could also control everything. But now, their dreams were shattered. Old 8 had been eliminated. Not to mention entering the top 10, he couldn't even enter the rankings. Damn it, how is this possible? The 8th Elder was very powerful. As long as he didn't encounter the Born Taoism aptitude, the First Messenger, and a few other people, he wouldn't be able to defeat him. He wouldn't fail at all. Who was it? Who was it? They roared madly. Someone frowned and said, "It seemed to be Lin Wudi." "Damn Lin Wudi, it's that guy. Damn it, we'll fight him to the death." These people were also gnashing their teeth. They wanted nothing more than to rush in and suppress Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't know about this, but even if he did, he wouldn't care. He even dared to challenge those monarch clans, let alone the Thunderfire clan. The Thunderfire 8th Elder's face darkened. He was extremely depressed. Why did he have to meet Lin Wudi? The others also gasped. They prayed in their hearts that their powerhouses wouldn't meet Lin Wudi again. In the extreme path world, Bai Susu, who was at the 3rd step of the celestial stairway, had an ugly expression on her face. She had met a powerful opponent, the Fire Qilin. This was the Emperor's son and the Double Crown champion. She had used all her strength, but she still wasn't a match for her opponent. She was injured and chose to take the initiative to be eliminated. With a flash of light, she came out. After coming out, she sighed. The people of the Divine Union hurried over and asked, "What's going on? Who eliminated you?" Bai Susu sighed helplessly. It was the Fire Qilin. Hearing this, the others shook their heads. It seemed like they were a little unlucky. Bai Susu was powerful and a young powerhouse. However, she had no chance of winning against the Fire Qilin. "Don't worry, you're already very powerful." Elder Bai walked out, and looked at his daughter. He was extremely emotional. To be honest, she knew her daughter. Even if she was a genius, she wouldn't be able to reach this stage. All this was because of Lin Xian. It was Lin Xian who had helped Bai Susu reach this stage. One had to know that being able to participate in the Battle of the Worlds and enter the Sky Stairway was already considered one of the top 100 existences in the universe. Although they didn't enter the rankings, it was enough to laugh at everyone. This achievement was 10,000 times greater than what Elder Bai had expected. Bai Susu naturally knew this. She didn't give up. Instead, she started to recover and wait patiently. She was waiting for the finals. The people of the Divine Union were looking forward to it. They wondered how the others were doing. This time, besides Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing, the Crimson Dragon and the Toad were also participating. They were also nervous. The Toad was very angry at this moment. He was so angry that he stomped his feet. Damn it, he kept spitting saliva. It was highly toxic. However, the person in front of him sneered. So it was a toad. It wasn't tasty. Lord Dog didn't like it. The toad was so angry that he vomited blood. You're the toad. Your whole family are toads. I'm the handsome and invincible toad. In front of him was an extremely strange person. He had a dog's head and was holding a white bone that looked like a mace. More importantly, he was carrying an iron pot on his back and his eyes were glowing. Moreover, the first thing he said was that it wasn't tasty. This made the toad mad. Was this guy a foodie? Damn dog-head, what did you say? The toad stomped his feet in anger. The dog-headed cultivator sneered. Little toad, you're not my match. As he spoke, he waved the bone in his hand forward. It turned into a white bone mountain and fell from the sky. A terrifying sound was heard. The toad was sent flying. The white bone had a mysterious glow on it. Damn it, even a dog's head was so powerful. The toad gritted his teeth in disbelief. The dog-headed cultivator laughed. Lord Dog's bone isn't something you can imagine. Woof, woof. He rushed over and bit the toad. The toad was so scared that his scalp went numb. He kept dodging. Finally, he gritted his teeth. You're ruthless. Doghead, I'll remember you. He crushed his protective jade pendant, turned into a white light, and disappeared. Outside, after the toad came out, the people of the Divine Union were shocked. He actually came out. Who defeated him? Bai Susu also opened her eyes. The toad said, I was unlucky. I met an expert, a top-notch expert. Who was the expert? Light-shaking realm? Xiantian constitution? Or the first emissary? They were extremely shocked. Chapter 5388. The toad's face turned red because the people he had met were not these people at all. He had met a dog-head. But what could he say? If he was bitten out by a dog, the people around him would probably laugh their heads off. Therefore, he could only lie and say that it was an expert that he had never seen before. The others exclaimed in surprise. There was an expert that they had never seen before. It seemed that there were indeed crouching tigers and hidden dragons here. On the sixth stairway, Lin Xian continued to set off. At this moment, he stopped again. He had met an expert. It was a swordsman. The sword chi on this person's body was so shocking that even Lin Xian was shocked. He did not dodge. Instead, he faced the attack head-on. Because he wanted to compete with the other party in sword techniques. I am the Thousand Autumn Sword Saint. If you don't want to die, scram. The person in front of him shouted angrily. His body emitted a dazzling sword light that swept in all directions. It was obvious that he was planning to use his name to scare away the enemy. However, it was a pity that he had met Lin Xian. Lin Xian smiled. Thousand Autumn Sword Saint? Let me experience your sword techniques. As he spoke, he used his fingers like a sword and slashed out. This sword carried the vast power of stars. It was as if starlight had descended from the sky. The person opposite him snorted coldly. So you're also a swordsman. However, it was a pity that he was no match for him in sword techniques. The sword intent on the other party's body erupted. A sorrowful sword intent swept out like autumn water. With a clang, the two sword chi collided with a cracking sound. He had actually blocked it. The Thousand Autumn Sword Saint was surprised. As a top-notch swordsman, he rarely met a match in sword techniques. Normally, when he encountered a divine ancestor, he would be able to split them apart with a single sword strike. However, the opponent this time was actually so powerful. "Good boy, who are you? Tell me your name." Lin Xin laughed. "You're not qualified to know who I am now. You'll only be qualified if you defeat me." How arrogant. The Thousand Autumn Sword Saint's expression also darkened. In terms of sword techniques, he did not lose to anyone. His sword chi slashed over again. It carried a desolate aura that was enough to destroy everything. Lin Xian used the 9-star sword technique to fight against it. The vast starlight was incomparably grand. It blocked the other party's ancient, desolate aura. Shinji sword. At this moment, the Thousand Autumn Sword Saint roared furiously. With a flick of his finger, a long sword appeared in his hand. It was an ancient sword. At this moment, the sword light flickered and turned into thousands of sword chi. 1,000 streaks of sword chi, each and every one of them was incomparably terrifying. They were like divine rainbows that could split heaven and earth apart. This was a unique sword technique known as the Thousand Sword Technique. At this moment, thousands of sword chi swept out in all directions, all slashing towards Lin Xian. 9-star alignment. Feeling this sword, Lin Xian did not dare to be careless. He shouted loudly, "Good!" Then, the sword chi in the sky turned into 9 stars and connected with each other to form a spatial sword. The space god sword slashed forward and collided with the Qinji sword. The boundless sword chi hammered down from the 9 heavens, sweeping out in all directions. At this moment, the entire world shook violently. After one sword strike, the Thousand Autumn Sword Saint's chi and blood surged. He had actually blocked his Thousand Sword technique. It was truly unbelievable. "Who are you?" he roared again. Lin Xian was also shocked. How terrifying. This sword saint was not ordinary. The 9-star sword technique was a sword technique that he had created himself. Its power was also extremely terrifying. Very few people could block it. This time, the other party was actually able to block it. Interesting. The corner of his mouth curled up. Then, he followed up with another sword strike. His sword technique suddenly became strange. In an instant, he appeared behind the other party. Azura sword technique, a sure kill sword. Not good. The Thousand Autumn Sword Saint's face changed. The other party's sword technique was majestic and profound. But now, it was strangely carrying an extremely strong murderous aura. This sudden change did not allow him to react at all. He was sent flying by the sword. One of his arms fell off, and his blood dyed the world red. He screamed and quickly retreated. A top-notch assassin? Then, there were 2 more sword strikes. One of them was aimed at his forehead. The other was aimed at his heart. The 2 swords were extremely fast, like lightning. The Thousand Autumn Sword Saint used his protective sword chi to block. An intense collision sounded. He was beaten until he kept retreating and vomited blood. Damn it, he could not attack at all now. He could only passively defend. Moreover, the other party's sword was becoming more and more terrifying. Another sword strike. It pierced through the top of his head. Not good. He raised his sword to block. Clang. His arm was shattered. The sword had cleaved him into 2 halves. His body turned into white light and disappeared. When he came back to his senses, he found that he was already outside the extreme path realm. Damn it, I actually lost. He roared at the sky, and the sword chi on his body swept in all directions. The people waiting outside were so scared that their scalps went numb. They all retreated. Damn it, what a terrifying sword intent. Who is this person? His sword technique is too terrifying. He's a peerless swordsman. I've heard of this person. He's called the Thousand Autumn Sword Saint. He's very terrifying. It's said that even the sacred ancestor could not block a single strike from him. How did he get eliminated? Who was the one who did it? Countless exclamations sounded. An Emperor clan elder came to ask. The Thousand Autumn Sword Saint's face was cold. He said, "I don't know who it is." After saying that, he turned around and soared into the sky, disappearing. The surrounding people were stunned. They didn't know who it was. What did he mean by that? However, when they asked, they found that the person had disappeared. Could it be that there was an even more terrifying expert inside? Lin Xian also withdrew his sword. After eliminating the other party, he continued on his way. Half a day later, he stopped again. His expression became extremely strange. He didn't find the enemy. Instead, he smelled a fragrance. That's right, the smell of barbecued meat. What's going on? Lin Xian was stunned. How could there be barbecued meat in this world? Could it be an illusion? He used his Rinnegan and found that there was indeed someone busy in front of him. It was a person with a dog's head. In front of him was a large iron pot. Something was stewing in the iron pot. There was an aroma coming out of it. Lin Xian was dizzy after seeing that. Someone was stewing meat here, and it was a dog's head. Who was looking at Lord Dog? At this moment, the dog-headed Taoist in front of him suddenly raised his head. A shocking light flashed in his eyes, and he directly tore the void apart. Lin Xian was shocked. This person's soul was so strong. He could actually discover him. In the next moment, Lin Xian raised the corner of his mouth and walked forward. You're really carefree. I'm also hungry. Give me a bite. After saying that, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the iron pot in front of him. The dog-headed Taoist was stunned. Then, he struck out with his paw. You dare to steal Lord Dog's food? You're tired of living. With a clang, the two collided. The dog-headed Taoist retracted his paw. She cried out in surprise. What a hard hand. Are you made of stone? Not good, not good. She quickly shook her head. I'm not interested in you. Hurry up and leave. Lin Xian was also shocked. The other party didn't suffer a loss after colliding with his divine body. It was obvious that this person's physique was very strong. He smiled and said, but I'm very interested in the thing in your iron pot. Chapter 53-89. Lin Xian stretched out his hand again and grabbed forward. He grabbed a piece of demonic beast meat from the pile. It was already very fragrant. He took a bite and nodded his head in satisfaction. Not bad. The dog-headed cultivator was furious. If this Lord Dog doesn't flip out, do you think I'm a sick cat? He waved his hand, and the iron pot surged forward. In an instant, it enveloped Lin Xian. Then, the dog-headed cultivator waved his hand and released a terrifying flame. You're going to be stewed. The flame in front of him burned and made gurgling sounds. The dog-headed cultivator coldly snorted. How is it? Now you know the consequences of messing with me. You want to fight with this Lord Dog? You're overestimating yourself. The dog-headed cultivator coldly laughed. At that moment, a voice came from the iron pot. I'm afraid that your iron pot won't be able to hold it. Then, a clanging sound came and the iron pot was sent flying. Damn, my spirit herb is a demonic beast. You ate it all. The dog-headed cultivator was shocked. At the same time, he was also surprised. The strength of the person in front of him was too terrifying. One had to know that his iron pot was actually a terrifying weapon. His flame was even more terrifying. If a divine ancestor was enveloped by it, he would be turned into a meal. But now, the opponent was completely fine. Make your move. Show me your true strength. Lin Xian walked over with large strides. His body was surrounded by a terrifying sword energy. Then, the dog-headed cultivator coldly snorted. He carried the iron pot and gritted his teeth. Damn brat, this Lord Dog has no food to eat today. Just you wait. When I'm full, I'll deal with you. After saying that, he barked and turned into a stream of light, disappearing from sight. What a strange fellow. Lin Xian shook his head and continued on his way. Finally, he reached the top of the stairway. He took a step and entered the valley. At the same time, other people also entered the other stairways. When the last person on the stairway entered, a loud voice rang out between heaven and earth. At the same time, the destruction halberd exploded with power. Now, all the spots on the stairway had been used up. Everyone else had been eliminated. What? Some people who were still trying their best to advance on the stairway heard this, and their expressions changed. Have all the spots been filled? Were they eliminated? No, I can't accept this. Roars rang out one after another. However, it was useless. Each stairway only had 3 slots, and they had all been used up. The others were all teleported out. Outside the extreme Tao world, Rays of light appeared one after another. This sudden change caused the others to cry out in alarm. What was going on? Why did so many people suddenly teleport out? After coming out, those people roared towards the sky. Damn it, I can't accept this. Just a little bit more, and I would have gotten a spot. Were all these people eliminated? The surrounding spectators were truly shocked. What kind of battle had taken place inside? At this time, a ray of light rushed out from the extreme Dao Gate, forming a light screen. A scene appeared, and the Yi clan's people cried out in alarm. The members of the Fire Qilin clan also raised their heads and looked over. At this moment, everyone looked at the light screen in front of them. They discovered that a valley had appeared in front of them. It was the extreme Dao Valley. They were shocked. Was the final battle about to begin? Those who were eliminated gritted their teeth and were unwilling, but there was nothing they could do. They could only accept this reality. One by one, they descended with gloomy expressions. They all wanted to see how the people inside would fight. In the extreme Dao Valley, there were 9 stairways and 3 figures stood on each. There were a total of 27 people. These people had successfully entered the finals, which meant that they were on the leaderboard. These people's names would be engraved on the divine steel this time. However, this was not the end. There was still the final ranking. The top 10 had some rewards, especially the reward for the first place. That was something left behind by the great emperor. The goal of some top-notch powerhouses was to get first place. At the very least, they had to get into the top 10. They had to succeed. At this moment, an extremely terrifying light burst out from those people's eyes. At the same time, the 27 people who succeeded quickly looked around, looking for their opponents. Many people's faces darkened when they saw Lin Xian. Damn it, this kid was still here. Lin Xian also looked around. He also saw some familiar people. For example, Yao Guang, Hua Qilin, and the others were all here. There were also a few attendants from Mount Eternal who came in. At the same time, he saw Morong Qingqing, Yin Ruyu, and the Dark Red Dragon. He waved at those people. Brother Xian, Morong Qingqing, and the others were also happy. Damn it, it should be you. At this moment, the dog-head loose cultivator looked at Lin Xian and gritted his teeth. He was on the 6th stairway. Other than him, there was Lin Xian and a woman. That woman shouldn't be the one who fought with him. Then, it should be Lin Wudi. He stared at Lin Xian and bared his fangs. Lin Xian looked at him and smiled. He walked over and patted the dog-head loose cultivator's shoulder. Are you full? The dog-head loose cultivator shouted angrily. Not yet. You knocked over my food. Lin Xian smiled. Why don't we have a meal now? You provide the pot and the food. I'll provide the flame. The dog-head loose cultivator snorted. He put down the iron pot on his back and took out a few demon beasts from his storage ring. He quickly cleaned them up. Then, he threw them into the iron pot. Lin Xian smiled. He waved his hand, and the 9-yang divine flame began to burn. Not long after, the fragrance spread out and spread in all directions. When the people on the stairway saw this scene, their eyes widened. What the hell? What's the meaning of this? This is the final battle. You're actually eating and drinking here. This Lin Xian was really arrogant. Some people who knew Lin Xian frowned. However, what shocked them even more was that the other dog-head loose cultivator was even more arrogant. He actually carried an iron pot on his back. What did he think this place was? At this moment, the extreme Dao weapon appeared in the sky again. Black Tortoise looked down and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said with a smile, First, congratulations on successfully entering the rankings. Next is the rankings. Everyone had a chance to challenge. The rankings would be based on victory and defeat. First, the top 10 would be decided. Hearing this, no one was surprised. No matter how they fought, they would go all out. Challenge? The first envoy let out a cold grin. He was standing there. He wanted to see who dared to challenge him. He emitted an extremely terrifying, inextinguishable battle intent that shot into the sky. The people around felt their scalps go numb. This person could definitely enter the top 10. They even felt that he had the strength to enter the top 3. It was very likely that he was the favorite to win the championship. Chapter 5390. The dog-head loose cultivator ate even faster after hearing that. No, he had to recover his strength as soon as possible. Lin Xian was also eating calmly at the side, as if he didn't care about the upcoming match at all. The lady of the river diagram's eyelids twitched. These two guys. She didn't know what to say anymore. She was even a little angry, so she closed her eyes and stopped paying attention. At this moment, the faces of the other people on the stairway turned gloomy. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Kid, you're still so carefree here. I'll send you to hell right now. A cold voice was heard. Shocking murderous intent swept towards Lin Xian. Elder Dog glared at the other party and said, "Hurry up and leave. He came from you. Don't knock over my food again." He protected his iron pot. Lin Xian frowned and put down the stew in his hand. He raised his head and glanced over. It was the fifth emissary of the indestructible three. He came to the valley with murderous intent. He pointed at Lin Xian and said, "You're here to die." Lin Xian glanced at him and stood up. He laughed coldly. "You indestructible Thousand Mountains people are really laughable. You all said you wanted to kill me, but you were all sent to hell by me. All right, I'll send you out to meet them today." Lin Xian strode forward. At the same time, the surrounding people looked around. Some of them started to choose their opponents. They chose some weak opponents and eliminated them first. They had to at least enter the top 10 first. Those were the thoughts of the surrounding people. For example, Yao Guang's eyes lit up. He stared at the surrounding people. Should he find two of them and devour their bloodlines? That dog-head loose cultivator was with Lin Xian, right? He should get rid of him too. There was no need for him to be here. Who did he think he was? Why was he eating and drinking here? Kill him. A middle-aged man soared into the sky and charged towards the dog-head loose cultivator. "You dare to challenge Elder Dog? Do you want to die?" The dog-head loose cultivator was very angry. Last time, his food was knocked over by Lin Xian. This time, someone actually dared to disturb his meal. He was furious. He picked up the big bone beside him and threw it at the person. A terrifying radiance erupted, moving like a mountain, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to split. The middle-aged man was blasted into the valley and coughed up blood. However, the kobold did not spare him. It waved its sharp claws. It tore his opponent into two halves. What trash, disturbing Lord Dog's meal. The dog-headed Taoist kept the white bones and sat down once more. He stared at the iron pot. The surrounding people were stunned. The battle was over so quickly. This lone man was very strong. Many people were shocked. They looked at the dog-headed Taoist as if they were facing a great enemy. Of course, there were also people who sneered. It was nothing. The middle-aged man who attacked before also didn't have the qualifications to enter the top 10. Someone attacked again. Many places were already in a huge battle. Lin Xian also walked over. He looked at the fifth emissary and said, "Hurry up and make a move." There was a hint of impatience in his expression. The scene here was naturally seen by the people outside, because this was the final battle. Therefore, the people outside the extreme Dao world could also watch the battle. At this moment, he was looking at the array formation light screen in front of him. One battle after another was going on. They were also exclaiming, "Was this the final battle?" It was really too strong. Some of the people who were eliminated sucked in a breath of cold air. They were not convinced before, but now they realized that the people who entered the final battle were all extremely terrifying. Even if they went up, it would be very difficult to deal with them. They might even be defeated in an instant. That was Lin Wudi. He was going to attack, and his opponent was actually someone from Mount Eternal. That should be Lin Xian's end. This time, he was going to be unlucky. The 10 emissaries of Mount Eternal were very terrifying. The 10th emissary was already so terrifying. How terrifying was the 5th emissary? No matter how strong his comprehension was, could he withstand it? Everyone exclaimed. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty sneered. It seemed that this brat was going to die. The people from the Purple Mansion also snorted. They didn't need to do anything. Someone was able to deal with a strong enemy. That was great. However, the 4th emissary of the Eternal Thousand had a cold expression. He was defeated by Lin Xian. The 5th emissary's strength was about the same as his, maybe even a little weaker. It would be very dangerous to face him now. He could only say, "Old Fifth, I hope you won't be careless." The fifth emissary in the extreme path valley made his move. He formed a seal with his palm and struck out a piece of law. The whole world shook violently. It was like a black sea that swept through the 9 heavens. In an instant, it enveloped the place where Lin Xian was. The monstrous black sea water swept through the sky, making everyone's scalp go numb. Very good. The fifth emissary's lips curled up. This was the eternal ocean. Once Lin Xian entered, he could forget about coming out. The third emissary and the others also sneered. However, they were destined to be disappointed this time. Within the eternal sea, Lin Xian had already unleashed his full power, his golden fist piercing through heaven and earth. It directly pierced through the eternal ocean. Then, he walked out. How was this possible? The fifth emissary's pupils constricted. His expression became incomparably ugly. The third emissary was also stunned. They knew the power of the eternal ocean. Even if Lin Xian wanted to come out, he would have to use his full strength to burn his law and come out heavily injured. But now, Lin Xian had pierced through it with one punch. What kind of strength was this? Buzz. Lin Xian's shadowless heavens net instantly arrived in front of the fifth emissary and punched out again. This punch directly hit the fifth emissary's body and sent him flying. Half of the fifth emissary's body was shattered. Sacred blood dripped from the sky. He was completely stunned. He landed in the distance and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. The others also cried out in alarm. The people watching the battle outside were even more in an uproar. The expressions of the people from Mount Eternal changed. How could this be? Was the gap so big? The fifth emissary was careless. The fourth emissary's expression was incomparably solemn. This guy was even more terrifying than when he first met him. The fifth emissary stood up. He roared at the sky, and inextinguishable power surrounded him. His body was repaired. At the same time, he shouted angrily. All kinds of laws flew over in an overwhelming manner. Light surged between heaven and earth. Lin Xian sneered. He waved his hand, and the supreme diagram rotated. A terrifying yin and yang aura swept through heaven and earth, striking out between yin and yang. At the same time, he soared into the sky like a giant dragon. His fists danced, and the entire world was constantly shattered. The yin and yang sword blocked the opponent's law divine ability. He then attacked the fifth emissary. With another 2 punches, the fifth emissary was torn into pieces. It shouldn't be the umpteenth time that she had despaired. She felt that the opponent's fists were too terrifying. He couldn't resist the opponent at all. He had completely surpassed him. He turned around and fled. Lin Xian sneered. He kicked out and sent the fifth emissary flying again. Then, he formed a seal with his palm, forming a few suns and directly suppressing them. Boom, boom, boom. The entire extreme Dao Valley was completely enveloped by the light of the sun. Everyone closed their eyes. This power was really too terrifying. They only heard a scream coming from the front. Chapter 5391. Damn it, how dare you? The third emissary roared crazily as he sensed that the fifth emissary's aura had disappeared. Were the others also exclaiming that they had been eliminated? When the light in front of them disappeared, they looked over carefully. The fifth emissary was nowhere to be seen. Only Lin Xian was standing there with his hands behind his back. Lin Xian looked around and sneered. Mount Eternal was too weak. Was there no one who could fight? Brat, are you looking for death? The third emissary roared crazily. The second emissary's eyes were also filled with killing intent. I'm going to kill you myself. Lin Xian ignored this threat and returned to the stairway. The surrounding people were also surprised. One had to know that the fifth emissary was also very powerful, but he was completely crushed in front of Lin Xian. He was easily eliminated in a few moves. How powerful was Lin Wudi? They couldn't see through him. Some of the experts furrowed their brows tightly. This was truly a peerless enemy. Outside the extreme path world, those from Mount Eternal were also gritting their teeth. Damn it. Half of the emissaries on their side were eliminated by Lin Wudi. Don't worry, the first 3 emissaries were very powerful. As long as one of them met the other, they would be killed. Lin Wuti and the others clenched their fists. They were waiting for that moment. The others were also fighting. What was more shocking was the battle between He Qi and the four-handed Divine Lord. He Qi was an expert who had been asleep for tens of thousands of years. He had 7 black flags beside him that could suppress and seal everything. The four-handed Divine Lord was a veteran divine ancestor. His 4 arms danced like thousands of lightning bolts, sweeping across the starry sky. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. Multicolored light danced in the sky and swept across the 9 heavens. The surrounding people were also shocked. However, the four-handed Divine Lord was defeated in the end. He was suppressed and sealed by He Qi's flag and was completely eliminated. Countless people looked at He Qi in surprise and sucked in a breath of cold air. This person was also very terrifying. He had the possibility of entering the top 10. Murong Qingqing and the others also made a move and eliminated their opponents, displaying their powerful strength. After the battle, everyone returned to the stairway. Now, the number of people was reduced by half. After that, everyone became very careful because those who stayed behind were all experts. They didn't dare to be careless. They were already very close to the top 10. It was not easy to eliminate even one of them. In particular, there were a few figures that they absolutely could not challenge. For example, the number 1 emissary of Mount Eternal had been standing there with his hands behind his back since the beginning. No one dared to challenge him. In addition, there was also the light-shaking realm cultivators. They didn't want to become food for the other party. The born Taoism aptitude was also extremely terrifying. Just the great path on his body alone was enough to make them feel as if they were facing a formidable enemy. There were also a few people who were terrifying, such as Lin Wuti. They didn't dare to challenge him easily. There was also the dog-headed Taoist. The other party was too strange. Before he figured out the other party's trump card, he probably wouldn't dare to act rashly. At this time, Xiaoying stepped forward and told the surrounding people to keep an eye on a figure. "Let me see how terrifying you, the legendary Thunder King, are." Once these words were spoken, the crowd was in an uproar. Heavens, Xiaoying actually wanted to fight the Thunder King. Both of them were double champions who had been asleep for tens of thousands of years and had now awakened. The battle between the two would definitely be terrifying. The Thunder King also stepped forward and snorted coldly. "As you wish." The lightning on the Thunder King's body was very terrifying. It was as if he had turned into a thunder god. On the other side, Xiaoying's figure was blurry. He should be a powerhouse who was a speed phantom. In the next moment, Xiaoying moved. In an instant, he formed 3 phantoms and directly attacked the Thunder King. He tore apart the Thunder King's sea of lightning. The laws in his hands turned into sharp blades and mercilessly slashed down. The Thunder King roared angrily. His palms split open the sky and turned into 2 thunderbolts. The sledgehammers bombarded in all directions. An earth-shaking sound rang out. The surrounding people were shocked. Lin Xian was also surprised. It seemed that Xiaoying's strength was stronger than before. It seemed that the other party had obtained a Bodhi fruit before and didn't use it. The Bodhi fruit was very precious. The power contained in one was very terrifying. Xiaoying's strength had greatly increased. Did the Thunder King have any fortuitous encounters? The Thunder King roared angrily. His lightning carried a violent and destructive power. Moreover, he was a powerhouse who had awakened from a deep slumber. How could he be weak? At this moment, his attack contained earth-shattering power. Lightning intertwined in the sky as if it was going to destroy the world. On the other side, Xiaoying was like a ghost. He held a shadow divine saber in his hand and swept across the sky. The two were evenly matched in the battle. Xiaoying seemed to be suppressed. The surrounding people were discussing spiritedly. Indeed, it seemed that the Thunder King was sweeping in all directions. Xiaoying just kept dodging and occasionally made a few moves. However, Lin Xian frowned. He could see that the Thunder King's situation was very bad. In such a top-level battle, with such a terrifying consumption, the Thunder King had probably fallen into a trap. More importantly, Xiaoying definitely hadn't used his full strength. He was waiting. Therefore, Lin Xian felt that the Thunder King was probably going to lose this battle. Seeing Lin Xian shake his head, the He Tu's children were stunned. Then, he said, "It's boring to just watch the battle. Let's continue." By now, he could see that the one who had beaten him back then was probably Lin Xian. However, he didn't attack Lin Xian because he felt that Lin Xian could also enter the top 10. He was waiting for the final battle of the top 10. He was going to eliminate the others now. The dog-headed Taoist didn't seem to be interested in the He Tu's children. He just ate and drank. However, someone had their eyes on him. A person with a ferocious expression like a demon floated over and charged at the dog-headed Taoist. Lin Xian was also curious. Where did the dog-headed Taoist come from? The other party seemed to have a very powerful trump card. Lin Xian was also going to continue attacking because a veteran sacred clan had his eyes on him. The sacred ancestor of myriad poison had a very terrifying poison on him. If other sacred lords were to encounter him, they would be turned into a pool of blood. It was very terrifying. In the blink of an eye, the battle started again. The dog-headed Taoist was the first to finish his battle. The dog-headed Taoist saw someone attacking. He was furious. "Damn it! Woof woof, I'll swallow you." He opened his bloody mouth and swallowed heaven and earth. The king ghost was swallowed up. In the next moment, he burped. Everyone was stunned. Was it over just like that? It shouldn't be. With the king ghost's strength, it could definitely tear apart the dog-headed Taoist's body and kill its way out. However, after waiting for a long time, they realized that it was extremely quiet. There was no sign of the king ghost. Heavens, it really ended just like that. This dog-headed Taoist was too good at eating. It actually swallowed a peerless expert. Chapter 5392. Wang Gui's defeat was shocking. At the same time, the outcome of the battle on the other side was also decided. Countless people exclaimed. They did not expect the Thunder King to be defeated. This was really too surprising for them. One had to know how strong the Thunder King was. He swept through the 8 barren lands and even suppressed Xiaoying. But now, it was the Thunder King who was defeated. This Xiaoying was amazing. He had hidden his strength too well. Many people exclaimed. Burning incense and the others frowned. They were all powerhouses who had awakened from their slumber. Their strength was about the same. But now, Xiaoying had exploded with such terrifying strength. It was obvious that he had obtained many opportunities. With a victorious smile, Xiaoying returned to the stairway. He had obtained the 2 Bodhi fruits previously. How could he not be strong? This time, he could definitely enter the top 10. He even felt that he could fight for the top 3. Lin Xian had already guessed that the Thunder King would be defeated. So, he was not surprised. He stared at the old man in front of him. The old man was wearing a green robe, and his body was poisonous. He smiled. "Kid, admit defeat. Otherwise, you will turn into a pool of blood in my hands." Lin Xian sneered. Looking at Lin Xian's disdainful expression, the myriad poison Saint Tomb snorted and stretched out his hand. The divine ancestor did not dare to fight against the poison on the palm. He directly enveloped Lin Xian. This myriad poison Saint Lord was not ordinary. His poison was extremely terrifying. The spectators exclaimed. If one was touched by the poison, they would die. They wondered how Lin Wudi would fight against it. His physique might be magical, but it might not be able to completely block the poison. As soon as they arrived, the sounds of discussion could be heard. Lin Xian's body flashed. He used Shadowless Heaven's net and disappeared. With this palm strike, the place where he was originally standing turned into a black hole. It was corroded by the poison. Lin Wudi dodged it. He did not use his divine body to fight back. This meant that his divine body could not block the poison. Countless exclamations broke out. The eyes of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's people were filled with killing intent. This kid was going to die in this battle. For example, the people from the Golden Crow clan were also sneering. Sure enough, Lin Xian kept dodging, and the 10,000 poisons in the sky kept descending. Every strike caused a black hole to appear in the void. One could only imagine how terrifying he was. After 10 moves, the myriad poisons Saint snorted coldly. Kid, you don't even have the courage to fight? Even if you keep running, you will be defeated one day. Lin Xian stopped and looked ahead. Escape? You're wrong. I'm waiting for you to use your ultimate move. 10 moves have already passed. Your strength is only SOSO. Then this battle could end. Damn, this guy is too arrogant. The Crimson Dragon gritted his teeth. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. He looked at Morong Qingqing. Qingqing said, Brother Xian, I can deal with this one. Be careful. Lin Xian is worried. Morong Qingqing nodded. I don't have the confidence to defeat him, but it's impossible for him to devour me. Morong Qingqing walked out of the extreme path realm. The people outside were also in an uproar. They were surprised by this battle. The Rainbow Phoenix was in danger. Yao Guang was probably going to devour another peerless expert. The Rainbow Phoenix was Lin Wudi's woman. Yao Guang was obviously targeting Lin Wudi. Countless voices sounded. The people from the Purple Mansion sneered. The people from the Divine Union were extremely worried. The people from the Phoenix clan had also arrived. The old Phoenix squinted at the array light screen in front of him. Himph, will Qingqing lose? He did not think so. He had confidence in Qingqing. The Rainbow Phoenix was an ancient and mysterious bloodline of the Phoenix clan. It would not be defeated easily. The emissary from Eternal Mountain sneered. Good idea. It seems that we have to kill Lin Wudi's companions first. She stared at Yin Ruyu, the Crimson Dragon, and the others. Lin Xian was thoroughly enraged. He stared at the third emissary and shouted coldly, Get over here and die. Chapter 53:93. Lin Xian's voice was like thunder, spreading in all directions. The surrounding people were also surprised. God, Lin Wudi still wanted to fight? It was too unbelievable. He had just finished a battle and hadn't fully recovered yet. He actually wanted to continue fighting. There were rules. For people like Lin Xian, they had just finished a battle and others couldn't challenge him. But he could challenge them. Under normal circumstances, no one would do so, because those who were still here were all top-notch experts. Fighting with such people would consume a lot of energy in every battle. They had to recover quickly. Once they couldn't fully recover, they would be at a disadvantage in the next battle. But now Lin Xian didn't care about this at all. He actually wanted to challenge the third emissary. The third emissary sneered after hearing this. Couldn't wait to die? I'll fulfill your wish. He flew out and sneered. I'm afraid you don't dare. If you don't dare, you think too highly of yourself. Lin Xian rose into the air and went directly to the battlefield. He was completely angry. These people wanted to attack his companions. He couldn't stand it. He would send the 10 emissaries of Mount Eternal to hell. It was a shocking battle. The battle between Yao Guang and Morong Qingqing, and the battle between Lin Xian and the third emissary were all peerless battles. They all watched with wide eyes. The third emissary sneered. Kid, don't try to attack me with your eye technique, because my soul is also terrifying. A black light appeared in his eyes. A monstrous soul power swept out. Countless people were surprised. What a terrifying soul aura. It seemed that Lin Wudi had met his match this time. His soul was powerful, but they didn't know if it was stronger than the third emissary. The third emissary sneered. Inextinguishable flame. He unleashed a terrifying soul flame and charged over. Everyone quickly retreated and defended their souls. The aura of this flame attack made them feel as if they were facing a great enemy. The inextinguishable flame swept through the sky and enveloped Lin Xian. The surrounding people sneered. This kid was going to be unlucky. The people of Mount Eternal snorted. That was for sure. How terrifying was the soul of the 30th person? It was called the Undying Eye, and it was definitely not something that the brat could resist. With a loud boom, heaven and earth began to spin. The phantoms of 6 worlds began to revolve around Lin Xian. It blocked the inextinguishable flame. Lin Xian raised his head and closed his left eye. Rinnegan bloomed with terrifying brilliance. There were mysterious laws and runes revolving around it. So what if it was the Undying Eye? Die for me. With a furious roar, an illusory eye appeared in the sky. A heavenly hand reached out from the eye and slapped down. Boom, boom. The undying flames in the surroundings were all slapped away, and some were even extinguished. Everyone was shocked. What a terrifying eye technique attack. Is this the legendary Rinnegan? It was really too scary. Rinnegan or Immortal Eyes, which one is stronger? Everyone was looking forward to it. The third messenger also stared coldly at the other party's eyes. Rinnegan? So what? It's just an eye. Can it block my undying eye? Undying eye, blade of soul. The black runes in his eyes rotated and then condensed to form two blades of soul. The terrifying light slashed forward. The blade of soul was thousands of meters long and carried an incomparably terrifying message. It could easily split the soul of a divine ancestor in half. At this moment, everyone cried out in alarm. The people watching the battle outside were also shocked. Mount Eternal was too terrifying. Each of the 10 messengers was incomparably terrifying. It was the double crown champion, and each of them had a different power. What kind of person was standing behind Mount Eternal? Even the people from the imperial clans were frowning deeply. Yin Ruyu, the Crimson Dragon, and the others all sucked in a breath of cold air. They couldn't help but worry about Lin Xian. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at the two blades of soul that were slashing towards him. He snorted coldly. Reincarnation tunnel. There was a cracking sound under the ground. Two huge shields rose into the air and blocked in front of Lin Xian. With a boom, the blade of soul slashed on the reincarnation shield, emitting an earth-shaking sound. Countless laws circled around, causing the entire valley to shake violently. Everyone was shocked. Could he block it? The second messenger narrowed his eyes. Third's blade of soul was very terrifying. That kid definitely couldn't block it. The others also thought so. However, when the light disappeared, they were stunned. They found that the reincarnation shield was standing there without any cracks at all. It actually blocked the attack in the soul. Damn it! How was that possible? The second messenger was shocked, and the third messenger's face was also cold. Lin Xian stood behind the reincarnation shield and laughed. Is that your attack? You can't even break my soul defense. Too weak. Too weak? Hearing this, the surrounding people went crazy. Who would dare to say such a thing? Even those veteran divine ancestors were sweating cold sweat. Only Lin Xian dared to say such a thing. However, Lin Xian did have the qualifications because he blocked such a terrifying soul attack. Despicable kid, are you challenging me? Well, I'll let you see my strongest soul ability. The third messenger was also completely furious. He kept forming seals with his hands. In his eyes, black runes jumped rapidly and then turned into a magical pattern. Eternal eyes, darkness descended. At this moment, the sky and the earth turned into darkness. It seemed that even the light had disappeared. Even the few extreme weapons were surprised. This was a little interesting. Chapter 5394. Darkness descended, and the entire world turned black, as if it was ink. It was so dark that one couldn't even see their fingers. However, at this time, a roar sounded, followed by the shaking of the void. Then, the darkness was pierced through, and a ray of light shone in. Then, countless cracks appeared in the darkness, and with a crack, it shattered like glass. The whole space was completely broken. This scene was really too shocking. The darkness in front of everyone's eyes became bright in an instant. The third emissary vomited blood and flew backward. He covered his eyes and screamed. His voice was miserable. It made people's scalps tingle. Heaven, it was Lin Wudi. They saw in the broken darkness a person like a peerless god of war sweeping through the 8 wastelands. It was Lin Wudi. Lin Wudi broke the darkness. Countless exclamations sounded, and the people of Mount Eternal went crazy. This was impossible. These people roared crazily. The darkness was so terrifying that the other party could break it. What kind of power was this? Lin Xian was also surprised. This reincarnation, the human path, was really terrifying. Lin Xian snorted coldly. So what if you have the undying eyes? You are still not my opponent. You have lost this battle. It stepped in the air and rushed forward. The third emissary's soul was injured. His eyes were closed, and he roared crazily. Damn it, I will not lose. He waved his hands. The undying law on his body burned in an instant, and he turned into a flaming figure. The black, undying fire jumped, and a terrifying power erupted in an instant. Heaven, his burning law, is he going to go all out? Countless people exclaimed. The power of the third emissary increased exponentially, and he attacked recklessly. Go to hell. Turning into a bolt of lightning, he rushed over and killed Lin Xian. So what if the other party has a divine body? So what if he has the Rinnegan? He had already begun to burn his life. He didn't believe that the other party would dare to go all out with him. The second emissary frowned tightly. It was really beyond his expectations to make the third emissary go all out. However, the effect of going all out was also very good. At least now the third emissary's strength had really become too strong. His whole body turned into a fire god's phantom. Lin Xian took a deep breath. Going all out? He formed a seal with his palm. An endless devil energy condensed, and a devil shadow appeared behind him. True devil, heaven-covering hand. The demonic shadow behind him struck out with a palm. The palm continued to grow in size, as if it had transformed into a part of the sky and was pressing down. In the blink of an eye, it hit the flame and the figure. A clang, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. That figure let out a miserable cry. No, he was suppressed by the black palm and fell down. He wanted to resist and escape, but under this palm, he couldn't escape at all. In the end, he was suppressed. A violent explosion rang out. Everyone looked at the scene in shock. Lin Xian was using the great emperor's ancient scripture. Moreover, he had cultivated it to such a profound level. The demonic shadow behind him made countless people feel as if they were facing a great enemy. When the people of Mount Eternal saw it, their pupils shrank. The second emissary was shocked, and even the first emissary turned around at this moment. A terrifying light burst out from his eyes as he stared at the demonic figure. He was actually able to summon such an existence. For the first time, killing intent appeared in his eyes. He would not allow such a person to survive. Now that he had the chance to kill him, he couldn't let him live. The second emissary took a deep breath after hearing this. He said, "Boss, I know." The black palm in the sky slowly disappeared, and the void returned to normal. However, the third emissary's figure was long gone. He had been eliminated. Was he eliminated again? Of the 4 emissaries of Mount Eternal, only 2 were left. Quite a few of them had been eliminated by Lin Xian. That was simply unbelievable. The people of Mount Eternal gritted their teeth. Damn Lin Wudi. They must kill him. The demonic chi on Lin Xian's body disappeared. His face was cold. This battle should be able to intimidate some people. As he returned to the stairway to heaven, he turned his head and looked into the distance. The battle there had also ended. The fire Qilin had defeated the enemy and won. However, Lin Xian was most concerned about Murong Qingqing's battle. The battle between Murong Qingqing and Yao Guang was very terrifying. The 7-colored phoenix swept through the world. The phantom of the phoenix roared into the 9 heavens. On the other side, Yao Guang's body emitted a chaotic aura. The Yi clan's immortal king phantom, the Gu clan's void technique, and even the Golden Crow clan's flames. The Wind clan's storm and the 5 elements clan's 5 elements power. There were too many powers. Everyone was shocked. How many experts had the Yao Guang clan devoured over the years? However, the most terrifying thing was the chaotic power. It could split heaven and earth, making people think that the chaos physique had been revived. However, Murong Qingqing was not weak either. It could even be said that she was very strong. The phantom of the phoenix on her body swept through the heavens and the earth. Heavenly phoenix palm, flaming phoenix finger, divine phoenix fist, all kinds of ultimate techniques. It blocked the Yao Guang's attack. For a moment, the 2 sides were evenly matched. The heavens were too unbelievable. Was this the power of the 7-colored phoenix? It was really terrifying. No wonder the Phoenix clan attached so much importance to it. Countless people were shocked. They knew that the Phoenix clan had the daughter of the emperor, Fengjiu. However, she seemed to be in seclusion and had not appeared. Under normal circumstances, if there was a princess, she would be nurtured with all her strength. However, the Phoenix clan was different. Not only were they nurturing Fengjiu, but they were also nurturing Morong Qingqing. Because Morong Qingqing was a seven-colored phoenix, she had a very special status in the Phoenix clan. The seven-colored phoenix was incredibly mysterious. Outsiders only had a rough idea of who she was. Now that they saw Morong Qingqing's strength, they finally understood why the Phoenix clan attached so much importance to her. Because she was too strong. She wasn't any weaker than the princess at all. Yao Guang was the double crown champion and had devoured many powerful techniques. Even so, she was still unable to suppress Morong Qingqing. It was easy to imagine just how frightening Morong Qingqing was. Morong Qingqing's expression was incredibly serious. In reality, he had already used all of his strength. Even so, they were only tied. It was impossible for him to defeat his opponent. In addition, Yao Guang's expression was still quite calm. He didn't know if she still had any trump cards up her sleeve. Yao Guang's expression also grew cold. She hadn't expected her opponent to be so difficult to deal with. The Nine Firmament Sub-Emperor's voice sounded out in her mind. Stop fighting. You can indeed defeat her. However, if you use these trump cards now, others will be careful. When the time comes, the effect won't be as good. I understand. Yao Guang nodded. His goal was to be first, so devouring his opponent wasn't that important. He wanted to keep a few trump cards and wait until the most critical moment to use them. After all, whether it was the Born Taoism aptitude, Lin Wudi, or the number 1 emissary, they were all his greatest enemies. He couldn't afford to be careless. He stopped and said, I'll spare your life this time. However, you'll be devoured by me sooner or later. Yao Guang sneered. Then, she stared at Lin Xian and made a killing gesture. Chapter 5395. Yao Guang walked back, surprising the people around her. They didn't expect him to give up on the seven-colored phoenix. It was unbelievable. Was she Morong Qingqing? She was indeed strong. When the experts outside saw this, their faces were filled with shock. They stared at the Phoenix clan's old phoenix with confusion and shock. The Phoenix clan actually had such an expert. The old phoenix and the experts of the Phoenix clan were delighted. They knew that Morong Qingqing wouldn't be defeated so easily. All the other geniuses looked at Morong Qingqing with envy on their faces. If they could be with such a fairy, they would be lucky. But they knew that Lin Wudi was probably the only one who was worthy of such a peerless immortal. The other experts in the Extreme Path Valley also stared at Morong Qingqing. It seemed that they had overlooked this expert. They had to be careful if they met her in the future. The dog-head cultivator's eyes lit up. He stared at Morong Qingqing. He kept shaking his iron pot. This was a phoenix. He didn't know if it was delicious. Hearing this, Lin Xian turned around and glared at him. A trace of killing intent appeared in his eyes. At the same time, a terrifying soul aura appeared. Even the dog-head cultivator was shocked. He chuckled. It was just a joke. He wouldn't eat her. However, he would eat someone else. He turned his head and looked at another proud daughter of heaven beside him. She was the daughter of the river diagram. The dog-head cultivator's eyes lit up. I didn't expect your bloodline to be so extraordinary. It seems that you're not an ordinary human. You should be a strange beast of heaven and earth in the heavenly river. I think you must be very delicious to eat. Hearing this, the daughter of the river diagram's face darkened. You damn dog, what did you say? Do you believe me? I'll tear your mouth apart. The daughter of the river diagram glared at him. Killing intent appeared in her eyes. He dared to have ideas about her. How despicable. He took a step forward. The water in the sky swept out like the Milky Way. At this moment, the surrounding people were shocked. Was another big battle about to happen? Taoist dog coldly harumphed. Did he think he was afraid of him? Today, I'll let you know Elder Dog's prowess. He waved his paw and slapped over. The entire area turned dark. It was as if a black mountain had swept across the heavens and earth, colliding with the other party's seawater. Wherever the two of them passed, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Everything was reduced to ashes. The surrounding people were extremely shocked. These two people were indeed terrifying. There were also some people who gritted their teeth. This doghead was too abominable. It wanted to eat everyone it saw. He wondered if he could eliminate him. I think it's possible. The origin of this daughter of the river diagram is very mysterious. She is definitely related to the strong warriors of the celestial river. Countless voices of discussion rang out, and the eyes of the experts of the older generation outside flickered. They were also watching the battle. At the same time, they were also guessing the origins of these two people. The daughter of the river diagram should be the descendant of the master in the celestial river. His bloodline was definitely extraordinary. But what was the identity and background of this doghead? It was so strange, and it dared to be so arrogant. Those Monarch clan experts asked each other for information, but they discovered that they actually didn't know either. For a moment, they were even more curious. In the extreme path valley, after the attack, the daughter of the river diagram retreated. He was shocked. Although this dog-head was abominable, his strength couldn't be underestimated. The dog-headed Taoist was even more shocked. You are indeed strong. When I eat you, you must be even more delicious. She laughed loudly and rushed out, the white bone in her hand slashing down. This white bone carried a terrifying murderous aura. It was too terrifying, as if it could suppress everything. The daughter of the river diagram also shouted angrily. She waved her hand, and the silver river danced in the sky, spinning rapidly as if it had turned into a sky map. It spun in the air, and a mysterious light enveloped the white bone, trying to seal it. The two collided again. The divine might was vast and mighty. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air and retreated. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. To be honest, these two people were very strong. Even he couldn't tell at that moment. However, he was more curious about the dog-headed Taoist. He didn't know if the other party had any trump cards. Is that all you've got? Against Master Dog, it's really not enough. Devouring the heavens and the earth. At that moment, the dog-headed Taoist shouted angrily. He opened his bloody mouth and rushed forward. The void boiled, and the silver river spun in reverse. It was as if it was about to evaporate. This made everyone's scalp go numb. This guy can't really swallow an entire world in one bite, right? Why does it feel like he's the same as Yao Guang? Previously, they had seen Yao Guang use the devouring vortex to swallow people. Now that they saw this scene again, they were also terrified. Yao Guang narrowed his eyes and snorted coldly. He knew that the other party's strength was different from his. Although they were both swallowing, he was forcefully obtaining the other party's bloodline and superpower. However, the dog-headed Taoist seemed to only want to eat. Moreover, the demonic heaven-devouring skill was a forbidden martial art. It was impossible for others to obtain power through swallowing. At that moment, the dog-headed Taoist was very strange. His head became extremely terrifying, and under his bloody mouth, even the sky was trembling. The clouds continued to split apart, and cracks appeared on the surrounding mountain peaks. One could imagine how terrifying this attack was. The daughter of the river diagram's face changed. She used the river diagram to block it. However, the river diagram couldn't seal the other party. It was even swallowed by the other party. The daughter of the river diagram was sent flying while vomiting blood. Her face became extremely pale. She really didn't expect that the other party could swallow her superpower. At that moment, she was also injured. The dog-headed Taoist snorted coldly. He opened his bloody mouth again and bit over. The daughter of the river diagram's face was pale. If she was swallowed by the other party, it would be difficult for her to escape. She might even be eaten by the other party as food. She didn't want that to happen. Damn dog-headed Taoist, I'll remember you. Just you wait. The daughter of the river diagram said unwillingly. In the next moment, she crushed the protective jade pendant. Her body turned into a white light and disappeared. Was she defeated? Countless people didn't expect that the terrifying daughter of the river diagram would be defeated. The experts outside were also surprised. One had to know that she was the descendant of that peerless expert. She actually stopped at the top 10? The dog-headed Taoist snorted coldly. Little girl, you ran fast. As he said that, he sneezed and vomited river water all over the sky. This was formed by the river diagram from before. The monstrous river drowned the 9 heavens. This dog-headed Taoist was too powerful. They must not offend him. Yes, He had the strength to reach the top 10. He could even reach the top 5. Voices of discussion sounded one after another. Perhaps no one would dare to make a move on the dog-headed Taoist in a short period of time. At that moment, another figure walked out. He was the second emissary of Mount Eternal. The killing intent on his body was even more terrifying. He was like a killing god. He didn't make a move on the dog-headed Taoist. Instead, he stared at another figure. Lin Wuti, I'll let you know what regret is. As he said that, he pointed at Yin Ruyu. Come out and die. Chapter 5396. It was against Lin Wuti again. Countless people were shocked because they knew that the relationship between Yin Ruyu and Lin Wuti wasn't ordinary. Lin Xin's face was gloomy. He had eliminated too many eternal mountain emissaries. He and the second emissary had long become enemies. He wouldn't stop even if he threatened them. He could only look at Yin Ruyu and say, "You must be careful." Yin Ruyu nodded and walked over. Although she was a proud daughter of heaven, she was facing a great enemy at this moment. She had no choice. The power of the second emissary was too terrifying. It had the power to destroy everything. She formed a seal with her palms, and there were many illusions of green lotuses revolving around her. Kill. The second emissary was furious. He let out a long roar and walked forward. He waved his arms and punched continuously. The surrounding void collapsed and the earth cracked. Indestructible fist. Terrifying, incomparably bright, indestructible intent swept in all directions. Everyone was worried for Yin Ruyu because the second emissary was much stronger than the third emissary. At the same time, they were shocked. How terrifying was the first emissary who had never made a move? Yin Ruyu also felt a huge pressure. She formed a seal and the green lotuses around her bloomed rapidly. It was as if the world was splitting apart. A terrifying aura swept out to resist the surrounding fists. The two collided, as if millions of mountains were bombarding each other. It was very terrifying. Buzz. Suddenly, the thousands of fists of the other party merged into one and formed a black stream of light. This attack was truly too terrifying, causing the lotuses around Yin Ruyu to split apart. The entire universe was shattering. Yin Ruyu also coughed out blood. It retreated and flew out. The surrounding people were also shocked when they saw this scene. Was Yin Ruyu injured? The people of the Divine Union outside were also in an uproar. This was too unbelievable. One had to know that Yin Ruyu's strength was also very terrifying, especially the green lotuses used by the other party. It was even more terrifying. However, she was still injured by a punch. How terrifying was the second emissary's fist? Looking at this scene, the surrounding people gasped and felt their scalps go numb. One had to know that this was only the second emissary. There was still the first emissary. Could it be that the champion of this battle would be the #1 emissary? The experts on the stairway to heaven were also shocked. Lin Xin's face immediately darkened. Extremely cold, killing intent appeared in his eyes. Ru Wu was actually injured. How hateful. He stared at the second emissary. The second emissary also turned his head to look at Lin Xin as he coldly laughed. Brat, are you regretting it now? You will die without a doubt. No one in the world can save you. Lin Xin's voice was incomparably cold. You want to kill me? Ha 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 ha. The second emissary raised his head and laughed. Cultivate for another 1,000 years. You're no match for me. I'll send your woman to hell first. As he spoke, he turned his head and stared at Yin Ruyu. With a roar, he shouted, Don't kill me. The law continued to expand, as if it had turned into an indestructible heavenly saber. He clasped his hands together. It slashed straight ahead. Yin Ruyu's white clothes were dyed with blood, hiding her poignant beauty. In her eyes, stars were also disillusioned. With a wave of her jade-like hand, the blood that dripped down started to spin. Then, it formed a blood-colored lotus, blooming continuously, forming a blood-colored canopy in the sky. A blood sword descended from within, colliding with the opponent's heavenly saber. Monstrous laws swept across the sky, and a huge crack appeared once again. The collision of the two was shocking. This Yin Ruyu was also incredible. She could even turn the blood of an injured person into a peerless divine ability. She was truly a god. Seeing that his attack was blocked, the second emissary roared to the sky. Hateful. He originally thought that he could deal with this move. Who would have thought that the opponent actually had another move? Although Yin Ruyu was injured, her expression became colder and colder. She kept waving the blood sword in the sky, mercilessly descending. Every strike carried the illusion of a lotus, which was abnormally terrifying. The blood sword was less horizontal, carrying a biting cold killing intent. The second emissary was really angry. He roared to the sky. With a flip of his hand, a black cauldron appeared in his hand, spinning continuously. The black cauldron shook lightly, shattering heaven and earth. Those blood swords also kept shattering. The surrounding people were shocked. Weapons appeared. They knew that every emissary had a weapon in their hands, and they were all different from each other. Who would have thought that the second emissary would have a cauldron in his hand? A cauldron had an extraordinary meaning. Anything that was made with a cauldron was an extremely terrifying existence. For example, the Yi family's celestial emperor cauldron. Of course, this cauldron was not an extreme weapon, but it was still an extremely terrifying weapon. They wondered how Yin Ruyu would fight against it. They knew that Yin Ruyu had taken out an extreme weapon before, but now that they were in the extreme Tao world, she could not use her extreme weapon at all. Without an extreme weapon, could Yin Ruyu fight against this black cauldron? This was the indestructible cauldron. The second emissary held the black cauldron with a cold expression. Everything could end now. For him to take out a weapon, it meant that he was completely serious. Those blood swords were all swallowed by his cauldron, turning into blood. They kept on attacking, letting out rumbling sounds. But they still could not escape. Yin Ruyu also waved her jade-like hand, and a green lotus appeared in her hand. She kept swaying it. It was like a weapon. With a light wave, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. The two of them clashed again. Terrifying power erupted again, shaking the heavens and the earth. Heavens, 100 moves had passed. Countless people cried out in alarm. The faces of the people of Mount Eternal also became extremely ugly. In their opinion, they could finish off the other party with one move, but the last 10 moves were not enough. But when they took out the indestructible cauldron, they all laughed, because they knew that the battle would end soon. But now, another 100 moves had passed. The second emissary was completely furious. He slapped the indestructible cauldron with his palm. On the indestructible cauldron, endless and mysterious runes erupted. At this moment, a black palm seemed to have appeared there, holding the indestructible cauldron. That palm was engraved at the bottom of the indestructible cauldron. It could not be seen clearly before. It was only now that it was revealed. What kind of palm was this? It was too mysterious. It was abnormally ancient and had a prehistoric aura. Not good, Ruyu. Retreat quickly. When this aura erupted, everyone felt their hair stand on end. Even the Fire Qilin and the others had a drastic change in expression. Lin Xin's pupils shrank. This power was too strong, and it was very strange. This power did not even belong to the second emissary, so Yin Ruyu could not block it. He hurriedly reminded her. Yin Ruyu's expression also changed. Her figure degenerated into green lightning, shuttling back and forth. It was useless. It was over. The second emissary laughed sinisterly. The indestructible cauldron fell mercilessly. Chapter 5397. The mysterious palm, along with the indestructible cauldron, quickly pressed down. It made heaven and earth dim. This attack was too terrifying. Although Yin Ruyu tried her best to block it, the lotus in front of her kept shattering. She spat out a mouthful of blood. In the end, she had no choice but to crush the protective jade pendant. She turned into white light and disappeared. Did she fail? Countless people exclaimed. They didn't expect such a genius to be defeated. Lin Xin frowned. Ruyu was eliminated. A trace of killing intent appeared in his eyes. He stared at the second emissary. He wouldn't let him go. The second emissary sneered. Humph, if it weren't for the protective jade pendant, you would have died this time. After saying that, He turned to stare at Lin Xian. Kid, don't look at me with such a murderous gaze, because the next one to be eliminated will be you. An extremely cold light bloomed in his eyes. However, he didn't make a move. Although he won the battle with Yin Ruyu, he also used his trump card. The indestructible cauldron and the mysterious hand were very terrifying. He had consumed a lot of energy, so it wasn't suitable for him to fight now. Instead, he turned around and returned to the stairway to rest. As soon as he returned, someone stood out. This person walked over from the second emissary's side. Everyone was surprised. Did someone make a move again? Who was this person? They turned around and found that this person looked extremely ordinary. Even the second emissary was frowning. This person was on the same stairway as him. They belonged to the 9th stairway. He had met this ordinary-looking person before, but at that time, the other party was very fast and disappeared in an instant. He didn't have the chance to make a move. Was this person going to make a move again? Let's see what kind of strength you have to stand side by side with me. The others were also discussing. Lin Xian was stunned when he saw the other party. He was really too surprised. He didn't expect to meet an acquaintance here. And it was an acquaintance he met a long time ago. My name is Chao Tiancheng. Who wants to fight with me? The ordinary-looking person in front walked out. He looked around and said indifferently, "That's right. Chao Tiancheng was the person Lin Xian met in the 2nd star region. At that time, the other party was a top genius of the Limitless sect, which made Lin Xian feel mysterious. Later on, this person disappeared. He didn't expect to meet him here. Furthermore, the other party was actually able to charge into the finals. One could imagine how terrifying the other party's strength was." Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had previously thought that Chao Tiancheng was very mysterious, but he didn't know the other party's background. Perhaps he would be able to see some of his opponent's strength through this battle. Chao Tiancheng's voice fell, but no one responded to the challenge. After all, they didn't know much about Chao Tiancheng. He looked quite ordinary and didn't give off any terrifying aura. But no one dared to underestimate him. The light-shaking realm cultivators were still wearing plain clothes, but killing intent was as easy as chopping vegetables for them. As such, it was impossible to judge a person by their appearance here. Who wants to fight me? Chao Tiancheng spoke again. At the same time, he looked over. When he saw Lin Xian nodded. Chao Tiancheng also nodded in response. This surprised everyone. Could it be that this person knew Lin Wudi? A murderous look appeared in the eyes of the second emissary. Was this another friend of Lin Wudi? Damn it. If he had known, he would have eliminated him earlier. But he wasn't in a hurry. There would be plenty of opportunities in the future. As long as he made a move, he would definitely send the other party to hell. The fire Qilin also snorted coldly. No one responded to the challenge. You'd better get lost. The others also discussed spiritedly. They also wanted to see a joke. Chao Tiancheng turned and stared at the fire Qilin. Do you dare to fight me? The crowd was in an uproar. They thought that Chao Tiancheng would go back, but they didn't expect him to challenge him. And he was challenging the fire Qilin. Heavens! The fire Qilin was the son of a great emperor. The double-crowned king had a terrifying bloodline and divine ability. He cultivated the great emperor's inheritance. Not many people dared to challenge him, but he actually dared to challenge the fire Qilin. It was unbelievable. The fire Qilin's expression also darkened. Do you want to die? I challenge you. Do you dare to fight me? Mr. Chao spoke again. The fire Qilin's expression was cold. Want to die? I'll fulfill your wish. He couldn't refuse. Not only were there top geniuses watching, but there were also countless clans and sects outside. Could he not fight? If he didn't fight, he would lose all face. Although the person in front of him was mysterious, he didn't take it to heart. I'll take care of you in 3 moves. The fire Qilin walked out with great confidence. The surrounding people were also shocked. There was a good show to watch. After the fire Qilin came out, he clapped his hands. The sky was filled with flames, and the world dimmed. The terrifying flames flew over, illuminating the 9 heavens and enveloping Chao Tiancheng. They didn't know how this guy was going to block it. Countless people looked at him in disgust. After all, not many people had seen him attack. Maybe this guy was just bluffing and didn't have any real skills. Boom! Intense rumbling sounds rang out, shattering everything. Everyone cried out in alarm. That guy should have been killed, right? However, when the flames disappeared, they saw Chao Tianxing walking out. He was unharmed. Damn it! What's going on? How did this guy do it? Exclamations sounded out one after another. Chapter 5398. Lin Xian was really surprised. He had a guess, but he didn't know if it was right, because just now, he didn't use his Rinnegan. In the next moment, the light of reincarnation in his right eye was activated. Lin Xian was ready to watch the battle with all his might. Fire Qilin was also surprised that the other party blocked his attack. Damn it, no matter what kind of physique you have, you can't compete with me. As the Imperial Prince, although he didn't have the legendary physique in the starry sky, his bloodline was extremely powerful at that time. He charged out again. His palms formed a seal, and monstrous flames formed a terrifying firestorm. The firestorm swept toward him, and at the same time, Fire Qilin also moved. Qilin trampling the sky. He stomped his foot, shattering the sky. This was the great Emperor's ultimate technique, and it was very terrifying. With one stomp, he could turn a divine ancestor into ashes. At this moment, he directly stomped on Chao Tianxing. Everyone became nervous again. When the great Emperor's divine ability was used, its power was much stronger than before. Could this Chao Tianxing resist it? Chao Tianxing's expression didn't change, and he also punched out. With a loud bang, an earth-shattering sound rang out. He actually blocked the Qilin trample. Countless people went crazy. This Chao Tianxing really had a body. What was going on with him? These people began to discuss, but they didn't feel any terrifying aura. What kind of physique did he have? These people went crazy. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. As expected, he was also shocked. It seemed that this was Chao Tianxing's real trump card. Previously, when he was in the second star region, he met Chao Tianxing. At that time, Chao Tianxing hadn't used this terrifying ultimate technique yet. He didn't know what Chao Tianxing had experienced during this period of time, but one could imagine how terrifying Chao Tianxing was now. Just now, through his Rinnegan, Lin Xian saw clearly that Chao Tianxing didn't resist with his powerful physique. Instead, he punched out tens of thousands of times in an instant. One had to know that at their level, they could launch many attacks in an instant. It was easy for them. In fact, Lin Xian could also release tens of thousands of sword shadows in an instant. In the blink of an eye, countless powerhouses could be turned into ashes. But this was completely different from Chao Tianxing. Tens of thousands of sword shadows shot out in an instant, but the crowd could still distinguish and see. But now, no one could tell that Chao Tianxing had punched out 30,000 times. Everyone thought that the other party had only used a single punch. What did this mean? This meant that his opponent's speed was truly extremely fast. Those tens of thousands of fists turned into a single punch. There was no difference in the sound. What kind of speed was this? Lin Xian had never seen the others before, so he probably hadn't seen them either. The Fire Qilin was furious. Damn it! Qilin tramples the heavens. The second step came over again, and what he used was the seventh step of the Qilin trampling the heavens. Under 7 steps, heaven and earth would shatter. Nothing could stop him. The power of the second step was even more terrifying than before. There was another deafening clang as Chao Tianxing blocked his fist with another punch. Its power seemed to be increasing as well. On the third step, the fourth step, and the fifth step, the Fire Qilin was suddenly sent flying. How could Chao Tianxing's strength be so terrifying? Why do I feel that it is not weaker than the 9 Yang divine body? It was close to the primal chaos body. Could it be that he also had one of the top 10 divine physiques in the universe? Everyone went crazy. The innate Taoism aptitude also burst out with a cold light in his eyes, because it was one of the top 10 physiques in the universe. Now, another physique that was as famous as him had appeared? But why hadn't he heard of it before? The people outside were also in an uproar. The experts of the Fire Qilin cave were all stunned. Damn it, what was going on? The people from the other emperor clans were also discussing animatedly. The face of the emissary of Mount Eternal also darkened. It was him. How could it be? It shouldn't be. He stared straight ahead. On the sky stairway, the first emissary also turned around. This time, his expression became incomparably solemn. He stared at Chao Tianxing and said in a deep voice, "Just now, you punched 1,000,000 times. Didn't you?" "What?" The others were stunned. 1,000,000 times. What kind of joke was this? There was only one group just now. Lin Xian was also surprised. He took a look at the first time. This person was very extraordinary. He actually saw through this at a glance. Indeed, Lin Xian's Rinnegan had just captured it. It was indeed 1,000,000 fists that were punched out in an instant, making those top experts think it was a single punch. After hearing this, the Fire Qilin was also stunned. 1,000,000 fists? His feet still hurt a little. He couldn't even use his strength. To be honest, he didn't understand whether it was a single punch or 1,000,000 fists. Chao Tianxing looked at the first emissary of Mount Eternal and narrowed his eyes. He said, "As expected of someone from Mount Eternal, it seems that you should know my origin." As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. The second emissary also asked, "Boss, who is he? What's his origin? What kind of body is it?" The first emissary took a deep breath. "It seems that I was right." He looked at the second emissary and said coldly, "He didn't have a divine body, nor did he have infinite strength." The first emissary was stunned. The others were even more puzzled. What was going on? The first emissary snorted coldly. "Stupid. I just said that he doesn't have a divine body. His punch isn't as powerful as the 9-yang divine body or the innate Taoism aptitude. But not a single punch. 10,000 punches. 100,000 punches. 1,000,000 punches. If these punches were thrown out in an instant and you top experts couldn't tell them apart, how terrifying would the power be?" The second emissary was dumbfounded. He had really thrown out 10,000 punches in an instant just now. He was stunned. With his strength, he couldn't tell. The others were even more in an uproar. Impossible. This was absolutely impossible. With our strength, can't we tell apart 10,000 punches? Not to mention 1,000,000 punches, even 10,000,000 punches. He threw out a punch in an instant, and we could clearly tell. They were all doubtful. The first emissary sneered. "What do you bunch of trash know?" Those people were angry. "Trash? You dare to call me trash?" Mars also snorted coldly. He was a dignified emperor who laughed at the world. Now, he was actually being looked down upon. However, he was indeed puzzled now. He said coldly, "Then tell me, where did he come from?" The first emissary stared at him. Chao Tianxing said coldly. He didn't expect that there was still someone alive from the legendary Light Clan that had disappeared. The Light Clan. Everyone was stunned. Even Lin Xian was puzzled. He seemed to have met someone from the Light Clan before. However, the first emissary snorted coldly. Which ones were not considered the real Light Clan? The real Light Clan was so fast that no one could compare to them. In fact, they were almost there. Parallel to time, they could travel through time. They could go to the future with their speed. They could go to the past. Nothing could stop them. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They were so fast that they could ignore time. They could go to the past in a flash and travel through the future. God, this is impossible. They roared crazily. Even the great emperors couldn't do that. The first emissary snorted coldly. The great emperors couldn't do that? Do you know the strength of the great emperors? You've only heard of some legends. Without reaching that level, no one knows how terrifying the great emperors are. Besides, I don't know if the great emperors can do it, but the Light Clan did it. Chapter 5399. Traveling Through Time. Countless people were shocked. How terrifying was this speed? Even Lin Xian was stunned. Was this the real Light Clan? The people from the Emperor clan outside. After receiving the news, they were also shocked. Light Clan. What an ancient name. The real Light Clan should have been destroyed back then, but there were still people alive. Could it be that he had traveled through time and space and hid in the torrent of time? Someone frowned. But no matter what, Chao Tianxing was a member of the Light Clan. When this identity was revealed, everyone was stunned. Especially after seeing the other party's strength, they were even more shocked. Fire Cheelant's expression was cold. So you're a member of the Light Clan. But so what? A clan that was no longer around. You alone can't cause any trouble? I'll eliminate you today. Your Light Clan has become history, so don't come out again. Fire Cheelant roared angrily. Cheelant technique. He roared at the sky and transformed into a Cheelant. The terrifying Cheelant flew out. This sound shook heaven and earth. The scalps of the surrounding people went numb. They exclaimed softly, quickly seal off their hearing. This sound could directly make their ears bleed. One after another, the powerhouses sealed their hearing. However, Chao Tianxing was still not afraid. Since he had already revealed his identity as a member of the Light Clan, there was nothing to hide. He stood there and didn't seem to dodge. However, the truth was that he was moving at high speed. Because his speed was too fast, his afterimage hadn't disappeared yet. He appeared again. Therefore, everyone saw that he didn't move. But in fact, he was dodging these sounds at high speed. Everyone looked at this scene and was extremely shocked. This was the young master's speed. It was too fast. It was so fast that they couldn't tell at all. After the sound disappeared, Fire Cheelant's expression became extremely ugly. He realized that it was useless against the other party. Chao Tianxing said, "As the descendant of the great emperor, is this all you have? Show me all your earth divine powers. Otherwise, you won't have a chance if I attack." His voice wasn't that boring, but it was extremely domineering. This meant that his strength was above Fire Cheelant. Fire Cheelant was completely furious after hearing this. "Damn it! How dare you underestimate me?" Cheelant arm. He suddenly stretched out his left hand, and a terrifying Cheelant phantom appeared on it. Black runes condensed into a black Cheelant. This arm was too terrifying. It was also a great Emperor divine ability. Legend has it that one could summon the heroic souls of the Black Cheelant clan to attach to one's arm. It could increase the prowess of the arm by several folds, and it could be used to kill enemies. The moment the Cheelant arm appeared, it was truly horrifying to the extreme. Everyone was shocked. They realized that even if they were to face such an attack, they would not be able to withstand it. Most likely, he wouldn't be able to withstand it either. It was very likely that he would be instantly turned into a bloody mist. Wherever the Cheelant arm passed, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The place where Chao Tianxing was at shattered once again, but he quickly dodged. However, this was not the end. The left hand of the Cheelant arm stretched out, enveloping the entire world and sealing the universe. No matter where you hide, as long as you are still in this world, you have nowhere to hide. The Fire Cheelant's voice was extremely domineering. The palm formed by the Fire Cheelant's arm completely enveloped the entire space. He was confident that he could kill the other party this time. In the face of this attack, Chao Tianxing did not dodge. He clenched his fist again, and a sharp light burst out from his eyes. It was the same punch, but it wasn't a million punches. Instead, it was tens of thousands of attacks. It was completed completely in an instant, and it merged perfectly together. With a boom, it actually blocked the Cheelant arm. Everyone was shocked. The Fire Cheelant also withdrew his palm. The other party could actually withstand it. How despicable. Chao Tianxing rose into the air. "It seems like this is all you have. Then let's end this battle. I'll let you see what it means to attack at a speed of hundreds of millions of times." After hearing this, everyone's pupils shrank. The last time, it was hundreds of millions of times. Was it hundreds of millions of times this time? It increased by 10 times. Could the other party's speed reach such a level? They didn't know. However, the next punch shocked them, because at this moment, when the fist was thrown out, it became the only thing in the world. Even those extreme weapons were astonished. This person from the Light Clan was too unbelievable. He could actually reach such a level. The others were even more stunned. Although they couldn't see the fist clearly, they could feel that under this punch, there were probably not many people present who could withstand it. The people from the Fire Cheelant cave also had ugly expressions. "No, Your Highness, be careful," they roared crazily. The Fire Cheelant roared angrily and used the Cheelant arm to the extreme. At the same time, a long spear appeared in his hand. The fiery red spear was condensed from his bloodline. It was a peerless spear. Kill. It collided with the hundreds of millions of times fist. An earth-shattering sound rang out. This punch created a black hole in the sky. The black vortex spun, making people's scalps tingle. How was the battle going? They didn't know. They all widened their eyes and waited. When the light disappeared, only Chao Tianxing stood there with his hands behind his back. Although his face was ordinary, his body was carrying a mysterious luster at this moment. Everyone's scalps went numb. He eliminated the other party, the Fire Qilin. This was an emperor's son. Was he defeated by the other party with a single punch? No, it wasn't just one punch, but hundreds of millions of punches. Everyone was in an uproar. It was too terrifying. This person could definitely enter the top 10. He could probably compete for the top 5, or even the top 3. Outside the extreme path world, the Fire Qilin spat out a mouthful of blood after coming out. Damn it. He couldn't accept it. Was he really beaten out? That punch just now had made him feel a fatal danger. Cracks had even appeared on his body. His Qilin skill couldn't block the other party's punch. He wanted to fight back, but he realized that he couldn't do it anymore. He had really failed. He didn't even enter the top 10. As the arch of the Fire Qilin cave, this was unbearable for him. The people of the Fire Qilin cave were also in despair. The other powerhouses sighed. There was nothing they could do. Although the Fire Qilin was powerful, his opponent was the light race. They were existences that swept across the world millions of years ago. They were existences that could even travel through time and space. However, later on, the people of the light race were destroyed. As for who it was, no one knew now. Only some of the Arch clans still had ancient records. It was an earth-shattering battle. It was said that that battle shattered the heavens and shattered the universe. In the end, the light race never appeared again. After millions of years, some peerless powerhouses of the lightning race appeared. They called themselves the light race. They thought that they had reached the limit in speed. However, everyone knew that they weren't the real light race because their speed couldn't travel through time and space. However, in the ancient times, someone from the light race had appeared alive. Moreover, he defeated the Arch and displayed his powerful strength. Was the glory of the light race going to reappear in this era? Chapter 5400. More battles broke out, but none of them happened. Chao Tianxing had shocked everyone. In the end, the battles were over, and only 11 people were left. Everyone frowned. There were only 10 people in the top 10, but now there was one more. This meant that one more person was going to be eliminated. Everyone was on high alert. The people left here were all peerless experts who were qualified to enter the top 10. It all depended on who was the unlucky one. He was eliminated by someone else. The two most terrifying people were the first emissary. No one dared to challenge them. Even the second emissary was invincible, let alone the first emissary. The other was the born Taoism aptitude, which was said to be even more terrifying than the chaotic body. Now, the great Tao that the other party possessed caused everyone to shrink back. The other one was Chao Tianxing. After Chao Tianxing displayed his extreme speed and punched hundreds of millions of times, no one dared to challenge him. Apart from him, the others seemed to be facing a great enemy. The second emissary sneered. Some useless people were not qualified to stand here. He stared at Lin Xian. Then, he stared at Murong Qingcheng, his eyes shining with a cold light. Lin Xian's face turned cold. Yin Ruyu had been eliminated, and the Crimson Dragon had also been eliminated. Now, only he and Murong Qingcheng were left. Was someone trying to take advantage of him again? He stood up and stared at the second emissary. I've said it before. You dared to injure Ruyu, so I won't let you live in this world. Get out here. Today is the day you die. Everyone was surprised. They had not expected Lin Wudi to take the initiative to challenge the second emissary. The second emissary was very strong. He could definitely enter the top 10. No one would challenge such an expert, but Lin Xian did it. Everyone also knew that the other party was taking revenge for Yin Ruyu. Outside, Yin Ruyu sighed when he saw this. The people of the Divine Union were nervous. Could Boss Lin do it? The people of Mount Eternal sneered. Although Lin Wuxuan had eliminated a few emissaries, the second emissary was different. The indestructible cauldron was terrifying. It was not something the other party could imagine. This time, the second emissary would end the competition. The second emissary walked out. Brat, I wanted to get rid of you when I got into the top 10. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish and make it so that you'll never be able to enter the top 10. Don't worry, after you die, I won't let this woman of yours go either. He laughed cruelly. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. Provoking Mount Eternal was the wrong choice. Lin Xian coldly snorted. You want to kill me? I'm afraid you won't have the chance. He roared angrily and threw out a punch. At this moment, heaven and earth shattered. What it displayed was true power. The power of the divine body was boundless. The second emissary shouted angrily, Do you think I'm afraid of you? He had long wanted to kill Lin Xian. At this moment, his murderous aura swept out like the sea. Its entire body blossomed, and a resplendent radiance turned into a sword of death. A terrifying aura pierced through heaven and earth and collided with Lin Xian's fist. The void continued to shatter as the two of them fought fiercely. 10 moves had already passed, every single strike able to split open mountains, making those sacred ancestors' scalps go numb. They were too strong. This was a battle between a dragon and a tiger. Who would be stronger this time? Some people supported Lin Xian, and some people thought that the second emissary would win, because the second emissary was too terrifying. After a short exchange, the second emissary took out the indestructible cauldron and circled around her head, releasing thousands of auras. It protected his soul. Boy, I know you have the Rinnegan, but I won't give you a chance. Everyone sighed. It was over. Lin Wudi's soul was also restrained. He had no chance at all. Lin Xian sneered. He used the illusory demon scripture. A terrifying demonic aura emerged, and a demonic shadow appeared behind him. He directly charged over. Lin Xian wanted to kill his opponent. Not only did he want to eliminate his opponent, but he also wanted to kill him. He wouldn't let his opponent live. True demon, overturning sky hand. As soon as he came up, Lin Xian used a peerless great magical power. The demonic shadow behind him condensed into a black palm that covered the sky and the earth, enveloping the entire space. Everyone's scalp went numb. They thought that the Qilin arm had appeared again. Because when Fire Qilin used the Qilin arm, it was just like this. Connecting heaven and earth, the palm covered the universe. Now that Lin Xian used a similar technique, they were shocked. Fire Qilin was also shocked. Was this the opponent's emperor technique? The demonic emperor. You're courting death. The second emissary snorted. Since the opponent wanted to end the battle quickly, then he would fulfill his wish. He used all his strength to activate the indestructible cauldron. Below the indestructible cauldron, a palm appeared. It was lifelike, as if it had crossed the universe. With the indestructible cauldron, it blasted forward. It's here. It's this move. Everyone was shocked. Murong Qingcheng was nervous. This move was the one that eliminated Yen Ruyu. Yao Guang and the others narrowed their eyes. They didn't know if Lin Wudi could withstand it. True demon, overturning sky hand, and the indestructible cauldron collided. Heaven and earth seemed to be torn apart. A torrential force hit everyone's body, making their blood boil. So powerful. With a clang, heaven and earth shattered. The indestructible cauldron was forced back. The runes on it became dim. Countless people exclaimed as they were forced back. The second emissary also retreated and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Lin Xian charged out domineeringly. Another attack, overturning sky hand, directly sent the second emissary flying. Cracks appeared on the second emissary's body. Half of his body turned into a bloody mist. He retreated, shattering the void. His face turned pale. Damn it! You dare to hurt me? With a roar, an indestructible power appeared. His shattered body quickly recovered. However, his gaze became even colder. The other party actually dared to injure him. He couldn't tolerate it. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You're not my match at all. Today is the day you die. Forming a seal with his palm, fearless lion imprint. The golden lion rushed out, roaring towards the sky and pouncing forward. Monstrous, indestructible flames rushed out from the indestructible cauldron, charging towards the fearless lion. The two divine abilities collided once again. At this moment, Lin Xian suddenly attacked. Void Finger. A finger pointed out, appearing and disappearing unpredictably, instantly piercing through the second emissary's glabella. The second emissary's head split open. His soul let out a miserable cry. It made one's scalp tingle. He retreated in fright and hurriedly summoned his indestructible spirit to block it. He was sent flying by the golden lion again. Although he was injured, he didn't die. Because he had indestructible power. The surrounding people were shocked. Heavens, Lin Wuti was too strong. He completely had the upper hand. Could it be that the second emissary was going to be eliminated? Outside, the people of the Gu family were stunned. Those elders even widened their eyes. Damn it, how was this possible? Why did that finger just now look so much like their Gu family's ultimate technique? Chapter 5401. Damn it, why does he know our Gu family's ability? The elders of the Gu family roared crazily. As soon as these words were said, the surrounding people were also surprised. What was going on? The people of the Yi family frowned and asked, "Did you see it clearly?" The elders of the Gu family shouted coldly. How could they not see it clearly? They stared at the light screen, and some people stared at the people of the Divine Union. The people of the Divine Union snorted coldly. They were not afraid at all because they were not afraid of the Emperor family now. Moreover, this was near the extreme Dao world, so the people of the Gu family probably would not dare to make a move. In the extreme Dao Valley, countless people exclaimed when they saw this scene. Yao Guang's pupils shrank. Void ability. You actually know this ability. You also have the Gu family's ability? He had swallowed the experts of the Gu family before, so he naturally knew the power of space. At this moment, he was also extremely shocked when he saw this finger. The other geniuses were also in an uproar. The second emissary's expression was extremely ugly. The first emissary said in a deep voice, "The Gu family will not let you off if you secretly learn the ability of the Emperor family." Secretly learn? Lin Xian sneered. Do I need to secretly learn? I have the dragon sword soul and can transform everything in the world. Why can't I use a mere spatial ability? He stared at the first emissary and shouted coldly, angering the first emissary. Lin Xian ignored him. He turned to stare at Yao Guang and sneered. You still have the face to be here? Tell me, is Gu Feng dead? Were you the one who made a move on him? How do you think the Gu family will deal with you after you go out? Yao Guang's expression changed when he heard this. He shouted coldly, I didn't kill Gu Feng. Lin Xian laughed loudly. Who would believe you? You didn't swallow the chaotic body? Haven't you swallowed the other geniuses? The person most likely to kill Gu Feng is you. You'd better think about how to bear the anger of the Emperor family first. Countless people were in an uproar when these words were said. The people of the Gu family outside were also gnashing their teeth. Previously, they had suspected Lin Wuti, but now they suspected Yao Guang. Damn it, the other party couldn't have really swallowed it, right? Yao Guang vomited blood. His face turned ashen. What kind of joke was this? He not even see Gu Feng's face, let alone swallow him. This was a black pot, and he didn't want to be the scapegoat. However, Lin Xian did not care at all. He had already charged towards the second emissary. What other tricks do you have? Use them all. Otherwise, today will be the day you die. Lin Xian sneered. He took out the Hellfire Dragon Sword and slashed out. The dazzling sword light transformed into divine light, forming a starry sky divine sword that descended from the sky. With a boom, the void shattered. The second emissary roared. Confrontation. He used the indestructible cauldron to block the sword. However, at this moment, the second sword slashed down. This sword carried the aura of the origin returning realm as it streaked across the void like an arc. It was as if a rainbow was breathtaking. The sword struck the indestructible cauldron again. The indestructible cauldron kept shaking, and the second emissary was beaten to the point of spitting out blood. Next, The Azura sword skill appeared and disappeared unpredictably. Finally, the sword slashed open the second emissary's body, severely injuring the second emissary. She gritted her teeth. Damn it! Was he going to be defeated today? He couldn't accept it. He roared to the sky, and the indestructible aura on his body soared into the sky. Then, he spat out blood, and the blood energy soared into the sky, turning into a blood cloud. Kid, go to hell. In the blood cloud, demonic beasts appeared one after another, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. They were extremely ferocious. This was called the Blood Soul Beast. It was a very terrifying ability of Mount Eternal. Through one's own blood, one could summon terrifying demonic beasts. These demonic beasts had a bloody aura and could directly devour other people's souls. At this moment, hundreds of Blood Soul Beasts appeared, covering the sky and earth. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb, and they retreated in horror. Damn it! How could there be such a thing? What kind of demonic beast was this? Countless people were terrified, and even Lin Xian frowned. He felt a threat to his soul. In the next moment, he snorted coldly. I don't care what kind of monster you are. I will kill you with my sword. He roared, and the sound of a dragon rang out. The 10,000 dragon divine blood bloomed, and 10,000 dragon shadows appeared behind him. Wind dragon, thunder dragon, Tyrannosaurus rex, sea dragon, and all kinds of giant dragons soared into the sky. They rushed over in an overwhelming manner and fought with the Blood Soul Beasts. Lin Xian's every move was filled with invincible power. These Blood Soul Beasts were torn to pieces, and the blood cloud that filled the sky was also shattered. A few more swords passed. The second emissary's body was torn apart. The first emissary's expression completely changed. He said, "Come back, you are no match for him." He could see that there was still a gap between the two sides. The second emissary could not defeat Lin Xian. As soon as these words came out, the others were in an uproar. Lin Wuti was really too strong. The second emissary gritted his teeth. Was he defeated? He was unwilling. Just as he was hesitating, Lin Xian suddenly rushed over. Boom! He punched out, covered in monstrous demonic energy, forming a terrifying demonic sea. It was as dark as ink, swallowing everything. No one could see the scene inside anymore. What happened? The second emissary's expression changed. He shouted angrily and wanted to escape, but in the next moment, he found that the world was spinning and the surrounding scene had changed drastically. An even more intense pressure pressed down, and he came to a magical space. Where was this? Get lost. He tried to open the sky with his palm, but found that it was useless. Lin Xian kicked over and shook the second emissary back. He said, "Today is the day you die. You want to kill me? Are you kidding me? I am an immortal existence, and I have a protective jade pendant. Even if I really lose, I can escape safely." A protective jade pendant? Are you sure? Lin Xian shouted coldly. Suddenly, a dragon-shaped sword energy appeared in his hand, and he slashed forward. The second emissary's hair stood on end. He used his immortal power to resist, but this sword directly sent the indestructible cauldron flying, and he was also instantly cut in half. He screamed crazily. Ah, the power of the great dragon sword soul. Damn it, how can you use so much power? This was the extreme path world. The great dragon sword soul could never come out. It could only stay in Lin Xian's body. Previously, he could rely on the power of Mount Eternal to resist. But now, the great dragon sword soul had flown out, and his little power was not enough. Lin Xian sneered, "Because this is my world. Here, I am the king, I am the ruler. So, I will let you live. You will die. You will definitely not live today." With that, Lin Xian slashed out again, splitting the second emissary's body again. The great dragon sword soul was invincible, and the power of Mount Eternal was incomparably mysterious. But at this moment, it recovered a little slowly. The second emissary was completely stunned. He wanted to escape and break through the void, but he couldn't do it at all. At this moment, Lin Xian slapped out again. The demonic god seal carried the aura of the Tao of Dragon, and the two ultimate techniques merged together. The second emissary was smashed into pieces, and he turned into a bloody mist. No, he was finally terrified. He crushed the protective jade pendant and turned into a white light, wanting to leave. However, at this moment, Lin Xian sneered, "You can't escape." The black jar fell from the sky and turned into a vortex. It directly swallowed him. At the same time, Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul with all his strength to cut through the void. Chapter 5402. The heaven-swallowing jar descended and swallowed everything, enveloping the white light. The second emissary originally thought that he would use the protective jade pendant to leave the other party's space and come to the outside world. Although he was unwilling to lose, it was impossible for the other party to kill him. But when he opened his eyes and found that his surroundings were pitch black, he was terrified. Damn it! Where was this? He roared crazily. At the same time, he felt a huge pressure, as if a millstone that could destroy the world was constantly crushing him. It completely shattered his body. Blood flowed and dripped around. He used the power of immortality, but just as his body recovered, he was crushed again. This power made him despair. Damn it, the aura of the extreme path. He was terrified that the other party could still use the power of the extreme path. No, this power was not something he could resist at all. He roared towards the sky, and an immortal rune appeared between his brows. At the same time, a deep voice sounded, as if it had crossed the ancient time and space. The rune between his brows carried a magical power. For a moment, it actually blocked the black vortex. The second emissary laughed sinisterly. "Brat, you don't even know who's standing behind Mount Eternal. So what if you have an extreme path weapon? It's just the extreme path. Our Mount Eternal has a true mortal paragon. What do you have to fight us?" He laughed proudly. Lin Xian saw that the heaven-swallowing jar was not killed. The other party was also stunned. The immortal paragon. He frowned. What was this? However, the power that was emitted from the other party's brows did indeed shock him. It turned out that this was the other party's true trump card. This power had already surpassed the second emissary's own. It was not something that the sacred ancestor could use. But so what? Lin Xian shouted coldly. The other party dared to eliminate Yin Ruyu, so he had already made up his mind to kill him. He would not let the other party leave alive. "I don't care if you are a mortal paragon. In this world, I am the ruler. Today, you will die without a doubt." He roared, and the heaven-swallowing jar controlled the other party to fly towards the barren area inside. The second emissary sneered. "I am an immortal existence, and I have the power of a mortal paragon protecting me. You can't do anything." His face was full of disdain, but the scene around him gradually changed. A desolate aura appeared, causing the symbol between his brows to shake violently. A roar sounded, suddenly sounding like thunder from the nine heavens. The second emissary felt fear. What was going on? Why did he feel that the power of a sovereign in the human world was being suppressed? Oh, where is this? What is this place? What kind of space was this? He was actually able to suppress human sovereigns. They were very clear about the mortal supremes, even though they had never seen them before. However, that power was capable of easily allowing them to live or die. This was the strongest power in the world. But now, the power of a human sovereign was actually being suppressed. This world was simply too terrifying. At this moment, the heaven-devouring jar exploded with power once again, turning the second emissary into a bloody mist. The black vortex obliterated everything. A black rune fell from the bloody mist and turned into a stream of light, trying to escape. Lin Xian slashed back with his sword. With a clang, it was forced to retreat, and its arm went numb. Was this the power of a human sovereign? It was really too strong. If it wasn't for the protection of the great dragon sword soul, he would have been injured. A mere human ant dares to stop me? Inside the black rune, a voice that had experienced the vicissitudes of life suddenly sounded. It was abnormally deep. Lin Xian snorted. "I don't care if you're a human sovereign. You're just a rune, and you want to escape? Be destroyed." The heaven-devouring jar exploded and charged forward. Black vortexes continued to appear, covering the sky and blocking off the enemy's path. The black rune crashed into the vortex as if it had entered a quagmire. In the end, it flew into the distance. However, not long after, it started to roar crazily. Damn it, what kind of world was this? This was a god. Before it could finish, a power came from the heaven and earth, knocking it down and turning it into ashes. Lin Xian was also stunned. This power wasn't from him. It was the power of this world. Was there still power in this world? He was shocked. The hellfire dragon beside him was also kneeling on the ground and worshipping. What was it worshipping? Lin Xian flew over and asked, "Do you know what's going on?" The hellfire dragon shook its head. It didn't dare to say. After walking for a long time, the hellfire dragon stood up. It said, "Kid, you've put so much power in this world, and there's also the heavenly spring of life. I think this world has recovered a bit. That power just now should be the condensed power of this world after it recovered a bit." This human sovereign of Mount Eternal was really unlucky. With his status, he shouldn't be able to come here. That was why he dared to clamor here and release his power. He was definitely going to die. Lin Xian felt that this sword world was getting more and more mysterious. There were many secrets waiting for him to discover. The Hellfire Dragon didn't know much. However, the more mysterious this world was, the more benefits it would have for him. Lin Xian took a deep breath, the corner of his mouth raised. The indestructible cauldron was sealed by him, and then he grabbed it in his hand. With a wave of his hand, the black vortex swallowed all the remaining blood. The second emissary no longer existed. The indestructible rune disappeared. With a flash, Lin Xian walked out of the sword world. Countless people were waiting outside, because in the valley ahead, the demonic aura was overflowing, covering everything. Everyone couldn't see the scene inside. They didn't know how the battle was going. Why was it so quiet there? They didn't hear any sounds of fighting. Could it be that the battle was already over? They were puzzled. Suddenly, the demonic sea in front of them rolled, and the demonic aura gradually dissipated. Countless people exclaimed, "Look!" At this moment, the geniuses on the heaven stairway and the experts outside all stared at the front. They wondered what the final battle was like. When the demonic aura disappeared, they saw a figure standing between heaven and earth. The person's body was covered in demonic aura, like a demon god. It was Lin Wudi. They exclaimed. Lin Wudi appeared. Where was the second emissary? They looked around and didn't see the second emissary. The experts on the heaven stairway exclaimed. Could it be that he was already eliminated? The first emissary's face changed. No way, the other party could be eliminated? Yao Guang and the others frowned. Murong Qingcheng, on the other hand, laughed. On the other hand, the people outside of Mount Eternal had gone mad. The third emissary gritted his teeth. Impossible, because they didn't notice the second emissary coming out. The elders also frowned and checked. They checked in all directions but didn't find anyone at all. The Fire Qilin frowned. What was Lin Wudi doing? Long Wu of the Thousand Dragons Imperial Court exclaimed. Look, what was Lin Wudi holding in his hand? Everyone looked over and then sucked in a breath of cold air. The third emissary's pupils constricted. How could the indestructible cauldron be in his hands? Chapter 5403. In the extreme Dao Valley, when the first emissary saw the indestructible cauldron, his pupils constricted. Damn it! Why is this thing in your hands? Where is the second emissary? He had a bad feeling about this. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He threw the indestructible cauldron on the ground and said in a deep voice, "He has already gone to hell. I said that he will definitely die today." What? Dead? Everyone was stunned. What? That was impossible. One had to know that they had protective jade pendants. Even if their lives were threatened, they would be instantly teleported out. The first emissary's expression changed. She instinctively didn't believe it, because not only did they have protective jade pendants, but they also had the indestructible rune. It was given to them by the human sovereign. there definitely wouldn't be any accidents. But the indestructible cauldron was separated from the second emissary. This was beyond his imagination. The 10 emissaries, each of them had a weapon. The weapons and their lives were intertwined. The weapons were with the people, and the weapons would only be separated when the people died. Now that the indestructible cauldron appeared and the second emissary disappeared, it meant that the second emissary had most likely died. How did he do it? For the first time, he was filled with shock. Originally, he didn't care about Lin Xian because he was high and mighty, but now there was a trace of fear in his heart. A person who could ignore the power of a human sovereign. In the sky, the few extreme Dao weapons were also puzzled. How was it possible that he was dead? Didn't he give them life-saving jade pendants? The life treasure bottle was shocked. The black tortoise also frowned. Didn't you guys feel a mysterious aura just now? The destructive spear said. This kid definitely had a secret, and it was a huge secret. Other than the 9 young divine body and the great dragon's descendant, he should have other trump cards. But what was it? Should we capture him and take a look? The destructive spear said. The black tortoise shook his head. No, don't act rashly. There are so many people watching. We can't make a move. And didn't you notice? That mysterious aura doesn't seem to be a threat to us. Maybe he is on our side. The few extreme Dao weapons discussed in the sky. In the end, they decided to observe in the dark and not touch Lin Xian. But the others went crazy. The second emissary was so terrifying, but he was actually killed. This wasn't an elimination, but a real death. It made their hair stand on end. Previously, they had heaved a sigh of relief when they found the protective jade pendant. But now, it seemed that protecting the jade pendant was not enough to completely protect their lives. At least there was an exception in front of Lin Wuti. Lin Xian threw away the indestructible cauldron. He had no use for it. He could not use the indestructible energy on it. He only took it out to warn those people. Since he dared to challenge him, not only would he eliminate him, he would kill him. He stared at a few figures. For example, the first emissary and Yao Guang both had killing intent in their eyes. The first emissary's face was cold. Since the other party had killed the second emissary, he would not let the other party off. Yao Guang also frowned. The quasi-emperor Jiao Shao in his mind said that this brat was very dangerous. However, I wanted his body even more. His secrets were all mine. The quasi-emperor had a greedy look in his eyes. The death of the second emissary shocked countless people. At the same time, the battle reached a new level. Now, there were only 10 people left. These 10 people had all entered the top 10, and countless people looked up to them. The 10 of them stood on the sky stairway, being looked up to from all directions. The extreme weapons in the sky also descended. Congratulations on successfully entering the top 10. Your names will be engraved on the sky monument, and you will be admired for all eternity. The spectators outside were extremely envious. Xianghua Qilin, Kuan Pingzi, and the third emissary were gnashing their teeth. They were originally very strong, but they had no chance of entering the top 10. They could only be eliminated. Damn it! Especially when they saw their enemy, Lin Wuti, standing there with a disdainful look on his face. They were so angry that they vomited blood. The Divine Union cheered. Great! Boss Lin had entered the top 10. Next, he should be able to kill his way into the top 3. That was for sure. Boss would be the final champion. They cheered. The people from Mount Eternal sneered. Stupid thing. With the first emissary, Lin Wuti had no hope of winning. On the other side, the people from Dao 1 sect were also confident. The Born Dao aptitude was enough to sweep through everything. The people from the Purple Mansion sect were also shining. Now, they had 2 people in the top 10. One was light shaking, the other was shadow cultivation. Shadow cultivation could compete for the top 5, and light shaking could definitely compete for the top 3. He might even be first. That was because the light shaking had devoured too many experts. The next 3 days of rest would give the top 10 enough time to recover. 3 days later, the top 10 ranking competition would begin. This would be the final top 10. Although there were rewards, the reward for the first emissary was even more amazing. It was something left behind by the great emperor. What exactly was it? Everyone was looking forward to it. Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing sat down cross-legged. Lin Xian grabbed Morong Qingqing's hand and gave her the divine spring of life in the sword world. It allowed her to recover quickly. At the same time, he transmitted a message. Qingqing, the next competition will be extremely dangerous. If you encounter something you can't fight, you must leave early. Lin Xian could kill the second emissary because he had a powerful trump card. The others might not necessarily have no trump cards. If they missed the opportunity to leave, it would be really dangerous. Murong Qingqing nodded. Brother Xian, don't worry. You don't have to worry about me. On the other hand, I'm afraid many people want to kill you. You have to be careful. Lin Xian laughed. It's fine. It's impossible for them to kill me. This time, I will let them know. What is true invincibility? Lin Xian's eyes exploded with a terrifying light. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The top 10 experts on the stairway to heaven all stood up. The spectators outside also took a deep breath and clenched their fists. The final battle was finally about to begin. The extreme-grade weapon in the sky descended. Black Tortoise looked around and laughed. Next would be the ranking competition. It was still a challenge, but there weren't many specific rules. You can decide for yourselves. After he finished speaking, he soared into the air and arrived above the 9 heavens to observe silently. The surrounding people were stunned. Decide for yourselves? What was this? Wasn't this just breaking the rules? Countless people were shocked. Would someone join forces? They all looked at the array formation in front of them. The people from Mount Eternal had ugly expressions on their faces. Now that there was only one person left inside, there was no way for them to join forces. However, the elder of the Yi family said, even if there were more people, they would not join forces. They wanted to walk the path of the Supreme Great Emperor. How could they join forces with others? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.